Just lead it as three people all joining together, some powerful minds, and we're trying to figure out some questions about the future. So I
Okay,
prepared thir-
let me start recording so we can
Are
get
you going to
into.
edit it afterwards?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, no worries.
So I'm gonna start recording. Okay, go Drago.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. I have a couple of really amazing remote viewers that we decided to get together behind the scenes and start a remote viewing project. And we wanted to kind of talk about some controversial topics that's going on right now. And Ileana and Amir have recently did an interview together where they basically remote viewed each other. And it was a very powerful experience to see such amazing people that are really known in these fields to then cross-examine each other's readings and read each other. So it was a mind-blowing video, man. And I was just smiling half the time because it was such an amazing experience just to watch you guys kind of read each other. But basically where we are now and like the future of we're trying to figure out what our place is right now in the future of humanity and where everything's going. And we're basically wanting to get a few questions answered between you guys. And I'm basically going to ask you 13 questions, basically Akashic reading questions for the consciousness, convergence, crafts, and mind control. Does that sound good to you guys? All right, so how do consciousness, convergence, sentient crafts work, and how are they able to monitor everything that happens on Earth and have the ability to record Earth's events, history, and what happens in people's consciousness as well as their minds? Ileana, did you want to go first?
Yeah, this came through as something when I was doing a remote viewing. This came through, and for what I found out is that these crafts are 5D, so they're above Earth 3D grid, so they're upper consciousness, and I'd like to know more information about it. So Amir, can you tap into that to see what's.
Yes, with pleasure. So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, my warmest greetings to you. I apologize. I've got a bit of a cold. My voice is a little gone, but my energy is on fire. So let's begin. Okay. So observing consciousness, we have to consider where we are and where we are operating within. The entire reality that incorporates many species, including humanity, is a holographic projection, which I would like to call guaranteed unnatural evolution. Every single aspect of a human existence is very, very tightly controlled and monitored and guided for the purpose of enhancement of the human vessel. This is the objective. And so there are many iterations to these sequences of experiments. Seems the full cycle is between 10 and 12,000 years. Once a certain batch yields the results that are desirable, the successful samples are taken and everything is wiped, and a new batch of humans with that enhanced genome and energetic structure is planted again. So everything is controlled. Your mood, your attitude, your thoughts, even the people that you fall in love with and reproduce with. That is especially important. Now, if the idea is to pass down genetic and energetic codes to the next generation, you better bet even that is controlled. These ships are present, but they are not limited only to the 5D. It seems the master race, and I say this carefully, they really are masters in what they do. They are trontoloids or praying mantis beings residing in the ninth dimension, some of them lower, some of them higher, and they seem to be the upper management, allocating tasks and projects to other species, many of them. So some would work with, for example, the physical vessel. Some would focus on the energetic structure, how much light we can pull in. And so far, this experiment in this universe has led to something monumental, which is the mighty human. Us, not these bodies, but the results of all the hundreds of millions of years of multiple iterations. That is something to truly behold. So everything by very design is controlled. We're not free operators here. And so the objective is to remember who we are, because the experiment is ready to be rolled out, successfully so. And the beings in upper management are basically contracted by prime creators of each individual universe, and they have a track record of brilliant success. They've succeeded here yet again, and now they're going to move to other locations in existence where life doesn't exist. Perhaps starting with the successful results of this experiment. It goes on many, many universes. And so, therefore, nothing is hidden, nothing is covered. Everything is wide open to these beings and to us ourselves.
So are these convergence crafts, are they going to help humanity in any way?
I think the greatest help that they could be is just to leave. Pack and leave, and allow us to do our thing. And I have great confidence in the mighty humans. Once we are left to our own devices, our evolution is not going to be stunted every 10 or 12,000 years. If left to our own devices, by now we would be the masters of the cosmos. So what we face, and I'm perhaps going a little bit ahead and answering some of the future questions, what we face now is the rolling out of the conditions of the matrix, guaranteed unnatural evolution, where suffering will not cease, hardship will not cease, but it's going to go back down to a normal level. So crazy experiments trying to push humanity to evolve in a certain direction, that's no longer going to be. This is also predicted by our great wise ancestors in the description of the great cycles of time. We're leaving the Dark Ages, the Kali Yuga. We probably have a 300 or 330-year transition where this rolling off or rolling out of the conditions of the matrix occurs, and then we're going into the new golden age. As humanity, we have a say in this. First of all, no more extinction. Oh, hell no. We're here to stay, we've done our job, and it's time for us as vessels, but also as sentient souls and beings to benefit from the sacrifice and the hardship.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of this 1,000 years of light, this golden age, Amir, how long do you think it's going to be before we achieve this?
332 years.
Why so far out? Because right now, a lot of the channelers, a lot of the remote viewers are seeing a lot of major things are happening behind the scenes now, and they say
Absolutely.
in QHD as well that they said we're going to see it in our own lifetime. So
Correct.
what specific, this is a question to both you guys, what specific things are the world going to see? Are we going to see emerging of all the Mandela effects, all the timelines kind of coalescing into like a single time stream? And then what's that going to look like?
Please.
Well, we're seeing things appearing that have been cloaked, that have been hidden. Now this is being revealed to us. We're seeing things in the sky. We're seeing these conscious convergence crafts appearing from 5D and above. They're monitoring systems on Earth. They're monitoring what's going on, and everything is being recorded into Akashic consciousness as history, as evidence for humans to know the truth. And it's coming forward into the light, being revealed. All darkness is being revealed for us to know the truth. That's to help humanity, even though it seems this is too much, this is so dark, this is so wrong. But humans need to know the history of the light and the dark to make their own decisions about going forward. Clean future or not so light future, like what do you want? What do you want in free will choice? That is what is coming towards us as proactive decision making.
I
To better
completely
humanity.
agree. I completely agree with this. Also, please consider things that are formed and consolidated in the causal planes energetically. These happen very fast. In the physical domain, there is such a thing as cause and effect and a matter of sequence. So this happens, then this happens, then this happens. So these events, although they are ordained to happen, it takes time. Also, please consider what is occurring right now is the dismantling of technology that has been implemented and used against humanity, again, for a very good purpose. And this dismantling of technology is what many are seeing. There are species that were invited in the very last iteration of the grand experiment. I like to call them the pirates, the worst of the worst, the hooligans, the football hooligans of the universe. And so these guys came in, they set up fires and caused massive damage and burned and pillaged and caused massive destruction. But guess what? We toughened up even further. So our current energetic and biological conditions are a result of interaction with the worst of the worst. And so humanity has benefited. Now is time for these guys to be rounded up and first and foremost for them to choose. Because humanity, most of us, the majority of us would like to ascend and evolve. Some of these guys are having such a good time that they want things to continue. And so more drastic actions are required in the way of removing them. Most of them, probably 85% of them, will choose to learn from their mistakes like everyone else, pay for the imbalances they have caused, gain the wisdom and rejoin divine evolution. And then there's a small minority, 10-15%, that will laugh in the offer of the Most High. Like, no, we're the gods here. They really don't know who and what they are. They've become delusional. And so they have to be removed by more drastic measures because they are standing in the doorway and preventing everybody else from passing through and evolving. And so therefore, this will take time. Also, kindly consider that many souls have been in this reincarnation process for millions of years. And so removal of overlays and obstacles and burdens and blockages will not necessarily happen in a single lifetime. It takes a while to remove all these so that they are ready for ascension. And so this process is going to be gradual, very much so an individual process. And that critical moment in existence when we can say, okay, enough of us have reached this point is probably going to be 3 centuries from now.
What about you, Ileana?
Yeah, I think the ascension process comes in phases. It comes in parts, and what's coming in for energetic upgrades, some of it is seen by us, some of it is happening in the background. We're feeling the upgrades, and we're seeing ourselves evolve psychically, physically, knowing more, understanding more, and learning about our history, who we are essentially as living beings. Where are we heading? We're asking those philosophical questions, and we're getting answers from above, from our spirit guides, from our higher selves, from this consciousness technology, from anything that helps us. We get the answers from that, asking for positive answers, not from negative beings. So there's a polarity shift going on here.
When this polarity shift happens, how far up the dimensions does polarity serve its role with the darkness and light, bad versus evil? How far does it go up before it is only just light and non-duality?
From what I understood, there's 50% light, 50% dark, and it goes up and down the polarity as things shift in consciousness. As light and dark work things out, that percentage shifts higher.
Correct. And also, please consider that wherever free will exists, absolutely there is a possibility of choosing darkness. And I have come across beings from the realm of primordial light who have also chosen darkness. And these stories have made it even into the Abrahamic religions as fallen angels they were born in the grace and favor of the Most High, and then through acts of degeneration they fell. And this is also applicable to beings born in the other polarity, where they have spent eons in self-reflection and purification and singing the praise of the Most High, and they evolve. So as my esteemed friend Ileana correctly said, there is a balance here. Light and dark so polarity really is the nature of this universe. Without polarity, manifestation cannot occur. It's one of the fundamental rules that must be followed. So yes, there is a delicate and beautiful dance or ballet between light and dark as consciousness evolves, goes back to source and then comes back down. So we have a healthy ecosystem of cycles or waves of evolution going on.
I would agree with that. Yes.
Me too. So speaking of duality, what kind of role do these conscious sentient crafts play on Earth now? And how are they actually recording the Earth's history and the events and the consciousness through these sentient ships? Did you
Uh,
want to go, Ileana?
They monitor everybody's minds, they collect the information, and they put it into the Akashic consciousness as a record, as a field of knowing and understanding, and as a field of keeping this information for everybody who needs to access it to know the truth.
Absolutely. So there's the records of life and energy. So energy does not disappear; it changes form. And so the smallest flutter of a butterfly wing 300 million years ago has echoes and can be detected the same way we can monitor consciousness. So there's one layer of record keeping, which would be the divine records, the Akashic records. Then, of course, we come to the record keeping of the conductors of the universal matrix, those who have set up the holographic reality and are masters of technology, genetics, and energetic structures. They keep records. That's their primary job, in fact. They are the data miners of life on Earth. Everything that occurs is their experiment, and so they keep meticulous records in order to identify where progress is occurring. And by the way, this could not happen in any other planet but Earth. So there's a limitation to what computational means can achieve. They are not continuous. They work on sampling of reality, and so therefore their predictions and their models fall short. And that which is not possible through computation, Mother Earth fills in the blanks. So this evolution happening on Earth is very much so the gift of our beloved Mother Gaia. Without her, none of this would happen. And then, of course, down the line, there are those with more selfish reasons, looking at this brilliant bonanza, a treasure of genetic, energetic, and physical material in the human body. So the human vessel is the most complicated biochemical factory in existence. We're capable of producing so many different types of hormones and chemicals. Now, these have a street value. And so, of course, the genetic and energetic structure of humanity is often stolen without the consent of the individual. Again, there's a black market on this. And so these are some of these conditions that have to be rolled out. It is only made possible because we are in a state of amnesia and almost in a state of anesthesia. We're kind of half awake with our arms and legs tied, rolling around in the dirt, playing this game of dumbass. And of course, there's a species that's going to come and say, hey, look at what these guys have on their pocket. Let's take some. And they take some. But again, humanity is evolving on schedule. I think the project is completed as far as I have communicated with the governors of the universal matrix. They're ready to go. And again, they don't want to leave in a mess, yanking out all the tubes and plugs, so to speak, metaphorically. They want to do it in a most elegant way. Like any good project manager, they would like to make sure that they deliver the project to the clients in a meticulous, beautiful state, and then leave a little box of chocolate with a red ribbon for the person to enter and say, oh, how lovely. They have a reputation of being classy in this way. And so then they guarantee that their future projects have sufficient clients. Usually the clients are prime creators of individual universes. So a lot is going on. And you know what, if it ends up benefiting a species, so a lot of these thefts or abductions are happening by races who have gone the way of cloning. And they now suffer from degrading or degenerating returns, like a copy of a copy of a copy, and they are beautiful. They're so beautiful. They are a source of light and blessing upon the cosmos. And so they come usually between incarnations to individual human beings saying, hey, would you save us? We implore you, please save us. We are a beautiful species. And if you give us such and such codes, you'll save us as a race, give a chance to our children yet unborn, and so on. And people say, okay, but they don't remember when they're in physical bodies. And so there's a lot of trauma involved with this. But again, if it serves the highest good of all, I think most people will say, well, all right, no problem. Have at it. We got what we wanted. Let our benefit reach many others too.
Very well said, man. Like you always blow me away, Amir. Every time I hear you talk, man, you have one of the most profound ways to convey a message in the most simplest of ways, and it always just kind of blows me away, man.
You're very gracious. Thank you.
And some of these questions include cloning down the road, so it's connecting the dots.
So speaking of these crafts, are these physical or non-physical crafts in our own skies that are being cloaked right now? And also, second part question, Amir, you had mentioned the mantis being. Are the mantis beings in charge of these conscious sentient craft?
It's a big mix. Seems that they are the upper management, and they are not perfect by any means. I've come across offshoots of very zealous scientists that they want things to progress too fast, and then the collective of their species give them the no. And so they break off, form an offshoot group, cloak themselves, and then connect to the interesting humans. And they implore the most they employ the most advanced technology. So tracking them down is rather difficult. They mask their portals. It's very difficult to track back to their vessel. The vessels are cloaked, and so they would reside somewhere, let's say in the upper quadrant of the 11th dimension at the edges of this universe. So it makes it very difficult to track them down. These are, of course, non-physical. That's the thing that many people should realize. Physicality is too dense and sticky and slow. If you want to travel through domains of reality, you would go through the most fluid and viscose levels of reality. So if you have the tech to go into the 12th D and puncture a hole through space-time, that's what you would do. You're not going to go on a horse and buggy. It's just a matter of efficiency. So depending on how advanced these beings are, some of them have hit a plateau. They've cut their connection to source light, and so they're stuck in the 6th dimension, and so as a result, so is their technology. So their ships are less efficient than those that have continued to evolve and have lost physical form and don't need ships anyway. So there's a lot going on, different ones, and those that come and appear, it depends on who they appear to. Some of them, let's say the Arcturians, they are among the ones that appear for brief moments in way of showing support, especially when a human is going through hardship. And they look up into the sky, and there you get this brilliant flash, magnificent ship, appears, does a few somersaults, and boof, it's gone. So they condense down into a zone where our physical sensors, ears, eyes, and so on, can perceive them, but that's not their normal state.
Mm-hmm. And in this remote viewing, I saw these convergence consciousness crafts, light ships in sky cities in upper 5D above Earth 3D, cloaked, but they can be seen if somebody wants to connect to a consciousness, higher vibration of receiving something positive. I didn't see people on these crafts. It was more like physical and energetic and there to help.
What do these sky cities actually look like? If you can compare it to anything that's ever been perceived on film or anything, what would it look like? Because I know it's not more than likely going to look like some man-made kind of city. What does it actually?
It looks like a floating city, like on a platform, more like an organic platform, and there's normal buildings there, there's trees, there's life, and it floats on a more like a plasmatic technology, and it floats in the sky. It's not on the ground. So it is kind of that's what I saw.
So
Correct.
kind of
That's
like the
that's
project I'm working with in the DUMS that you, Ileana, you've already remote viewed for me, where I'm working with these different dimensional cities, and we're trying to figure out the technologies underground. And I've been working on these projects for a long time with them and working kind of like a liaison for them, like an intermediary between Earth, SSP, and then who they are. So you can see that they're not just operating in the skies, they're also operating inside the Earth. And inside the Earth, they have floating cities there as well. Everybody thinks Earth is this like solid piece of rock, but it's more of like a geodesic kind of structure, almost like the moon, where it's the earth was built on these big openings. Some of these openings are 150 miles wide with their own atmospheres, and like they have their own artificial suns or their own lighting systems that's natural bioluminescent kind of lighting systems. And the organic plants and the species and animals there, a lot of it's based on bioluminescence, kind of like deep in the ocean. So it's very amazing to see something so freaking beautiful, and we only have earth experiences to compare it to. It's almost like the Avatar world. And then we live in this artificial computer man-made world that's it's like left-brained, right angles, very masculine driven, very brutalistic architecture. And it's just like it's physically ugly compared to how beautiful and gorgeous these other existences are.
Yeah.
I agree. And then there are other beings that along the way have shed vessels. So they are formless, they are pure consciousness. And so they may choose to emerge and show themselves in a way that is more suitable for the observer. And so for some, then these cities may appear medieval, say stone buildings and so on. But then for some other observer who's into sci-fi, they may be very modern and futuristic. So there are variations on how the details are revealed, while entirely they are non-physical. And so this is done to gently ease the conscious mind of the observer into this expanded reality without causing them a shock, without blowing their fuse, so to speak. So yes, this has been present for a very long time. A lot of these guys are just floating around happily in different dimensions, different pocket universes, closely in proximity to Earth. There are civilizations that are subterranean, having an important role in what goes on the surface of the Earth. Unfortunately, there are castes among them that are treating humanity as a farm. They have turned the mighty human into a goddamn hamburger. And so they wouldn't live on the farm, of course. They wouldn't live among the animals. They would have their own residence, and that seems to be subterranean. And then there are, of course, those that are much elevated, living in pristine conditions, in harmony with Earth. And their cities are beautiful and clean. They leave zero footprint. Usually they are more advanced than the more warlike and greedy and aggressive species. So it's a big process of evolution involving all of them. Many of them have come into human form, and so the extended soul family is tied to all consciousness from this universe, also many other universes. The game is way too good. Many people want to go. So there's a long line of very, very impressive souls, and not all of them get entry. And so now it's turned into something that's, well, let's agree, it's problematic. It's gotten out of hand a bit. So we're gently rolling out of these conditions towards a beneficial conclusion for everyone involved.
It's funny when you mentioned there's a lot of people kind of waiting. I realize that this is the greatest show in the entire cosmos going on right now, and the amount of people waiting to get in this Earth experiment and in this holographic experiment, it's insane. And like I've always seen it as like the universe's reality show. I think about how all these species they psychically tap in or they use technology to watch our own reality shows, and they see the human Truman Show about how we're all controlled and how we create everything, and we're like some of the most amazing creators in the universes combined because we've been experimented on so much that we're the most we are the prestige, we are the inventors, we are the artists of the universe. And a lot of us were punished and sent to this planet because we went against the status quo. We talked against the governments, against the bad ETs, against the regressives. Our voice was too powerful. Our art started making people wake up and ask questions, so we were sent here as punishment. And like it's a pretty convoluted universe, man, but it is the greatest show in the universe right now.
And also how like there's also part of this consciousness stuff connected to the physical US elections 2020. Drago, can you ask some of those questions?
Yeah, so basically, what was the purpose of the consciousness convergence crafts monitoring the mind control fraud of the masses in the 2020 US election, and how has it affected the people in the current time period?
Yeah, between Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
Yes.
So, this is just my own humble opinion. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please take it just as that with a pinch of salt. It makes zero difference who's in office and who fills the position. The show goes on. Those that are really in power are a very few people that are masters of industry. And this has been true since the Industrial Revolution, where they have become more wealthy and powerful, and is now just big cats getting bigger. So one aspect could be just a refinement of a control methodology, how to easier and more efficiently manipulate masses. And this is now using human-generated AI and preference elicitation through all this social media and online activity. The data exists now where it traditionally didn't exist. And so now we have the computational power to swift through oceans of seemingly meaningless information and pick out patterns that a normal human mind cannot. And so these are now being employed. So that would be along the lines of what is happening, trying to tighten the control shackles on the population. Now, again, humanity has a chance against these. You see, when we are operating on autopilot, meaning just going about our day, la-di-da-di-da, you go to the fridge and pick up what you see and you're just doing your thing without really thinking. That is where you're following your a neural and physiological construct on autopilot, and therefore you are perfectly predictable. Now, if you live consciously and consider the implications and the side effects and the cause and effect chain that you create with each action, then you are unpredictable. And so that is the way of being free of such techniques, living consciously. And then, of course, there are many energetic overlays or parasites or devices or implants that are forced into the tube of light, the energetic structure of humanity, to prevent exactly that. So it's a very, very hard job keeping humans under control. And I just, I clap for the success of them, so far keeping us in one place without us blowing everything up. Compliments where compliments are due. But that is now becoming no longer viable, as many of the infrastructure, the large-scale technology, astral, that is employed against humanity has been taken down as part of the rollout negotiations with major species. And so as these are removed, our natural state is being free. And nothing fights more viciously and valiantly than a human being when they know their freedom is in danger. So we are uncontrollable, and that's why we have to be anesthetized, put into a state of sleep. But a lot of what is going on are of that nature, and so that's my humble understanding.
Amir, you have a really big background into AI. Can you give us kind of a background into your professional history of how all this kind of interlinks with the whole Akashic reading and you being an intergalactic wizard?
Well, the spiritual part I was born with, as we are all. We haven't been here, it's not our first rodeo, we've been here before, it's not our first time. And so with rites of passage as a soul, these properties stick with you. That's one of the purposes of coming down to earth and going through all these experiences, elevation as a soul. So that seems to be the case with that. But then in my daily life, I was always fascinated with the brain, the human brain. In the, let's say, the mainstream scientific approach, the human brain is seen as the most complex collection of matter in the known universe. And that is not too far off. And there was this question, because very early on I knew that the human is more than just the physical. And so I wanted to know what the role of the brain is. Well, it seems that the brain is a beautiful and complex machine with one purpose, keeping us alive in 3D reality. And so when you burden it and task it with elevated spiritual material, it gets tired, it gets overloaded, it causes a great deal of suffering, if I may say. So that's where these other aspects of consciousness need to be integrated, achieving unified consciousness harmonics. So our aspect as source and our aspect as the human are working in harmony, like all the other organs in the body, working happily together. Looking at AI, I wanted to see how we can merge technology and physiology once again as a species. So the algorithms are in place, the mathematical structures, the design of the AI, the algorithms are all in place. We have sufficient computational power to do so. The only bottleneck in the widespread use and propagation of something like brain-computer interfaces are the implants themselves. We're lacking in that area because the implants have different mechanical properties compared to the soft and delicate tissue of the brain. Plus, putting them in will require some sort of a minor or major brain surgery. And plus, these devices don't last forever. You'll have to have surgery every 3 to 5 years, which is not viable. So once that problem is taken care of, we're going to go through the next Renaissance, the great industrial revolution. The first one was the printing press. I think the next one was the emergence of the internet. The next one is the emergence of AI, we're living. And then the next one, which is really going to create human 2.0, is going to be the melding of technology and biology, which is going to have positives and negatives, but all in all, it will give us capabilities far beyond that which the normal human brain can cope with. And I see this as an advancement done correctly, compassionately, and for the right reasons. Of course, many can think of many possible problems with this, which are also valid. So looking into the mathematics of AI, how it is structured, what the AI brain looks like, how you train the AI brain to emulate the behavior of an intelligent system, what an AI agent is, the process of elicitation of preferences through an ocean of data, and then of course the structure of the brain, psychology, cognitive neuroanatomy. All these came together after a very long time. 7 years I spent on my doctorate. And you would not believe the amount of resistance I faced. They didn't like it. Like, oh no, you've gone into the zone of consciousness. That's a no-no. Saying, come on, this is all evidence. The machine works. It works. We tested it on 40 people. It works. Usually in engineering, if it works, that's the proof. But no, they wanted me to run, oh no, I don't care it works. Run this and this statistical model. So we know that it's not an anomaly, making no sense. But anyway, I got it out and I am done with that. Seriously, spiritual work and delving into the infinite ocean of reality is far more satisfying and rewarding.
And a question for Amir, are these consciousness crafts, are they part of AI, and or why were they monitoring this 2020 election between Trump and Biden?
So it's basically gathering of data and enhancing certain designs through an iterative process. You introduce an upgrade in your approach and then you take data, measurements, see how effective it was, maybe discover certain weaknesses that you didn't anticipate, and also see strengths that you didn't originally think were possible. And then you guide the evolution of your technology along those branches. So AI is most certainly involved in this. In every stage, gathering of data, processing of data, predictive modeling. It's like any other device. Think of it as a mechanical loader, where previously humans were restricted to their muscles, and now we have powerful mechanical devices that lift hundreds of tons. This would be akin to the use of AI in doing brute force work, number crunching, which is not so conductive for a human. We get bored and then we start making mistakes. And there's a limitation to how far we go before we just raise our hands and say, okay, I'm done with this. Please shoot me already. But AIs go through hundreds of millions, sometimes exhaustive searches, meaning every single possibility they investigate. And then the branches that are not suitable are pruned or cut, and then the next generation of evolution is guided down the suitable outcome. So very much so a technical and engineering approach to enhancing their systems, both monitoring and control.
So who's running all these AI systems now that's basically monitoring the last 4 years of the Biden administration? Because we can all agree that we've experienced the Wild West the last 4 years. And I've seen a complete destabilization of the entire planet within 4 years. The previous administration with Trump, I never seen so much abundance in my life. I never made so much money in my life. But now I'm seeing that a lot of these remote viewers and channelers are starting to see that there's an AI component that is so extreme being used right now that we're seeing it in reporters on news stations and part of the Project Mockingbird narrative, and it's being weaponized to the extreme now. Why now? What's coming after this? Does this make sense? Like they've they've turned up the heat the last 4 years, and it's caused hundreds of millions of people around the planet to start rising against their own governments. So something is kind of coalescing to now. So who's running all this AI now?
Everyone. Everyone and their mom. I mean,
Well, I know we're being using as the hosts. If I want to complement to that question, I would say what percentage of the population has brain computer interfaces versus implants that's being weaponized? And also, do they need these type of implants, being that this is a spiritual battle and this AI can hack these signatures of our souls?
if I may answer, Ileana, all of
Mhm.
us, all of us, man. Otherwise, we'd run loose and the experiment would collapse. Some of this starts when the first cell in the body is created. The egg and the sperm mix, and then the system goes to work, putting many layers of implants in. By the time the fetal stage is complete and we are born, 90% of the job is complete. This is by absolute necessity. There is no way around this. In certain iterations of the grand experiment, humans would upload their entire soul memory when they hit puberty. And so that served a purpose. Now we're in the most restrictive and difficult stage of the entire thing, to perfect the final stage. It's like you're creating ceramics. You bake the ceramic in an oven for days, and then finally you turn the heat up and you get that perfect glaze on the surface. And if you mess up, all of them will crack and disintegrate. So it's very sensitive, this stage, and it is really just perfecting, putting the final touches on it. You may ask, why now? Well, it seems that now things have become possible. You see, every advancement in science, it happens when conditions are conducive for this. Like Isaac Newton saying that I stood on the shoulder of giants. Great mathematicians and physicians before him created the infrastructure for him to sit down and an apple to hit his head and say, oh yes, gravity. But this is true for every advancement. It is now possible. So first of all, cheap computers that are very capable. The availability of raw data through human activity online, this was not available 20 years ago. So there was nothing to train these machines on. Second, the prospect of great benefit, both in terms of warfare, but also in terms of economy. And this is unfortunately the nature of our species. Every single new technology is initially developed and used for war. First and foremost because the money is there by, let's say, intelligence services or the militaries of the world. They are tasked with protecting the population, so they got very large budgets. And then when they use it, then it rolls into big corporations, and then it hits the general public. So the example of nuclear energy. The greatest minds of the Western world were gathered together in the Manhattan Project to create a bomb. Brilliant people, many of them they suffered from a guilty conscience for the rest of their lives. Like Oppenheimer, now I became death, the destroyer of worlds, the famous words of Shiva. And guess what, my dear friends, we're going to weaponize AI. That is just the way it is. Hopefully, the damage is not going to be too bad. It seems that the AI systems are very effective and they are very efficient to reduce collateral damage, targeted basically elimination of enemies. So hopefully the loss of life is not going to be anywhere near what we see in World War I and World War II. By the way, right now we're going through World War III, ladies and gentlemen. and life goes on for the most part. And of course, the economies are under enormous strain. Some of the normal ways of life are changed by necessity. But again, out of all this, I am immensely optimistic. We've survived much worse before, and we're going to survive this. So we're going to go through a period of darkness, probably the next 18 months, which corresponds with the dismantling of a lot of technological infrastructure by non-human beings who have had a hand in extracting energetic, biological, and consciousness samples and turning it into a goddamn drug trade. The pirates, they're being dealt with, and so everything is turned to 11. They are flapping about as their source of energy is restricted. And of course, humans are awakening to a great degree. As part of my day job, I work with gifted children. Seeing these guys puts me at a state of hope and ease. They are brilliant. The children being born now are brilliant. If you have the honor of a child entering your life, please know how incredibly blessed you are. This is such a gift. These children are what are going to eventually move humanity forward as a result of the groundwork that people like us have done. We're trailblazers, making it possible for them so they can stand on our shoulders.
I do see the dismantling of the old guard. I'm seeing it in legislation from all the countries, and I'm seeing that we're winning in ways that I never anticipated, because on the outside it looks like they're winning. But what I'm seeing is I'm seeing some of the top level people getting taken out. I'm seeing celebrities like P. Diddy and all these other people having connections to Mossad and all these blackmail kind of rings that they were running with kids and other famous people. And they were basically operating legalized slavery, and these three-letter agencies were acting as intermediaries, and allowing them to kind of cover up a lot of these things. So I guess this is going to move to my next question. How does the consciousness convergence sentient crafts upgrade humanity's consciousness to evolve to higher dimensional capacities, to be fully aware and awake of who they are as creator beings and seeing what truly exists beyond the 3D matrix of Earth?
Ileana, please.
Well, like for us to access our memories, to see reality beyond the control system, these consciousness crafts provide the energy to see the reality. They connect with every individual person on Earth and send them what they need to know consciously, to access consciously, to see a reality beyond 3D worlds. What is actually going on, the good and the bad, you see everything. And it creates a path for you to choose what is right or wrong for you. To know you're seeing through the illusion of the matrix, you see through the controllers, you see the truth. This is what this consciousness conversion, sentient crafts upgrade. They give you the truth and allow you to upgrade the mind by seeing the reality for what it is. Not the sugar-coated mind control that is sent to us through technology, through the news, the media, but the real reality, the solid reality of what really is. And you're given a choice. What do you want to do with this? Do you want to change for the better, or do you want to change for the negative? Polarity shift, change beyond the mind control. That is the upgrade it gives you to see as a truth. Then you choose.
Okay, so I'm the greatest fan of humanity. I'm the number one cheerleader and fan of humankind. The truth is that there is nothing missing. There is no evolution needed. There is no rite of passage that we haven't gone through. There is no treasure that we need to seek or no action we need to take. It is all here now. All your gifts and brilliance are here now. And these have been suppressed. So anything in the way of removal of these suppression mechanisms would be beneficial. Honestly, if they just took up and left, that would be the greatest favor. Because with great intentions, there's always, the road to hell is paved with great intentions. So they might want to help humanity and botch the job. Honestly, if we are left to our own devices, they stop poking and prodding us and messing with us, eventually this is going to happen organically. They cannot maintain the structure. So if they want to take an active role and they are listening to our conversation, respectfully, I would suggest taking out the mother infrastructure. Those major devices that govern all the implants. The factories that generate the sentient AI that infiltrates the crown, third eye, and jade gate. The soul bridge, maybe the soul star of every human coming into a physical vessel. Without these limitations, we are fine and dandy. We don't need anybody's help. They need our help. That's why they're here. So honestly, hey guys, thanks but no thanks. Off you go. Be gone and we won't follow. No revenge or retribution. Just be gone. And so I think that would be probably the best thing they could ever do.
Yeah, and when I saw this consciousness convergence craft, it was on its way out back to 5D. It was leaving. And it said, I have a message for you. See the reality and the truth for what it is. And we've been trying to show this to humanity's consciousness. See the truth, see the light, being your own free will choice and your own power of sovereignty. Do not be mind controlled by the system, the matrix, by the politicians. Because the politicians are false. They're not what they seem. Some of them are not even organic humans. In politics, US politics, Canadian politics, I've done so many remote viewings where you see things that are not human or non-organic human, which is part of some of these questions too. And I guess this consciousness technology, it's like, see the truth for the reality that it is and be aware, I guess that's the upgrade it did and has been upgrading humanity's consciousness, but there comes a point where you go home and let humans do the human work.
So is there an agreement that allows Mother and her minions to be here to be kind of doing this kind of stuff? Is it authorized on a higher level that we know about in the subconscious, or are they acting as more like they don't need permission to come in to do this because they exist outside of time and space or higher dimensional, and they can basically do what they do because they're one of the progenitors of our DNA and our race?
Should I begin?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So the pirate species, I like to call them pirates, like the Draco.
Are you
like
referring to the
Anunnaki.
Anunnaki, or just generalizing a pirate species that comes in and takes?
Oh no! This is a cast of beings that were invited in at the last stages. Let's say the last 20 iterations of the grand experiment. With the arrival of the Anunnaki 250,000 years ago, and then later on the Draco, many species of greys. Some of them are not even local to this universe. A great call went out, a call to action, calling in all the pirates. Hey, come! We want to really toughen up these little humans. Come, do your thing. And many heeded the call. Now there were conditions for entering the universal matrix. Excuse me. Their genetic and technological structure was payment for entry. So they enriched us. Now, say, for example, the Anunnaki, not particularly evolved or moral for that matter, residing in the fourth and fifth dimension, causing massive destruction to their own environment and homeworld. They were one that heeded the call because they wanted to live. And so coming in, they gave their own genetic and technological samples to the conductors of the grand experiment, and in they came to do their thing. Now, as a result, humanity has been greatly enhanced, although initially they restricted us, but they had no idea who they're dealing with. By the time these guys came, we had gone through hundreds of millions of years of evolution with a vast treasure of genetic and energetic brilliance. We just wanted that little extra. And so it also benefited the Anunnaki. So while humans were living in tribal conditions in perfect harmony with Earth, the Anunnaki brought in a more technological 3D approach to existence, and that is our gift, leading to great advancements, although this comes with its downside, like the pollution of Earth, the explosion of population, and so on. But still, now we are enhanced, so their brilliance is now our brilliance. Their mastery is our mastery. And so they are now one with humanity. So they were allowed to come in and do their thing, but the purpose ultimately was to enhance humanity. So the Anunnaki of the old are not those that remain. They have become lazy and fat due to the great advantage of their technology. If you take away their tech, they wouldn't survive the streets, the mean streets, for 30 minutes. I really say this with confidence. The humans are tough, man. I mean, we really have to look at how brilliant, resilient, and adaptable we are. So that was the purpose. Who cares if the Anunnaki come around and light some fires and cause some destruction for a quarter of a million years? Bah, that's nothing in the grand scheme of things. Hundreds of millions of years, billions of years, if you include the elemental races, when the Earth was still molten. So where do you think our energetic structure comes from? So we've been in the making for a very long time. These pirates are just kindled to the fire at the very last stage, where you want to really cook the ceramic and get that beautiful color on that glazing. So it makes really, at the end of the day, honestly, it makes no difference what these guys do or don't do. They are irrelevant. We are ready. We're ready to leave the oven.
Do you want to follow up, Ileana?
Yeah, so we don't really need the second coming of the Anunnaki, the lazy ones, to come back and cause mayhem and confusion again, because this is floating around right now, and certain
Big time, yeah.
emissaries or people saying they're coming. Enki's
And
coming,
they're
the
here to save
Savior's
us.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's floating around as a mind control program and a virus system, mental virus system, that they're coming back. They're going to save us. They're going to give us the holographic medical pods. They're going to give us the Holy Grail DNA, save us.
No.
It reads as a mind control system.
Absolutely. Now, please allow me to tell you what's going to happen if they do this foolishness. The system is going to fail. Our immune system, both physiologically and energetically, is going to reject the implants. And guess what's on the menu? Anunnaki kebab. We're going to eat them. I mean, seriously, they have no idea who we are. Look at the conditions in which we are thriving. This is tough beyond any normal conditions anywhere in the infinite fractal of the cosmos. So I say, come. Payback is a la la la. Yeah, you want to come taste the result of us evolving? Please do. I don't believe that we are susceptible to their measures. They have nothing on us. I am a great fan, and rightfully so, of the mighty human beings. I mean, look at us three sitting here with all the limitations that the Matrix has placed on us. Hundreds of different categories of implants, a parasitic device, sentient life forms, multi-dimensional overlays placed to prevent light coming in from us remembering. Here we are going la-di-da-di-da, what's next? Bring it on. I think we're far more tough and resilient than any other species. So yes, I haven't tried Anunnaki kebabs. I would like to.
I've tried some Anunnaki fractal viruses, and I said no thank you. Just
Okay,
go, leave, don't come back, and don't control humans. You're not welcome
maybe a
here.
little black pepper, smoked paprika, and rosemary. Mwah.
Yeah, no, energy fractal viruses, like their soul consciousness cannot stay within a human body, so they create fractal viruses to infiltrate humans and control, to send their agenda through of the second coming. And the fractal virus is connecting to the human soul energy of the person it's invading, and they're intertwined together as a false unity, telling humanity what's the right thing to do. Whereas I can see right through that, and it's like those humans that don't want this, they'll say no thank you. And if they physically come, they're not our creator gods, they're not the sky gods. We can see through the mind control delusion and illusion of their systems.
I think it'll do really good for humanity. We need a victory after all this hardship. It'll really bring us together. Like, oh, these guys, they did so and so to our honored ancestors. How dare you? And so I'm not worried about any of this. It's not the first time in the recent years that plagues have been introduced to humanity. Guess what? Most of us are immune to it now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a expanded unity consciousness that is organic to humanity, the divine unity consciousness, where we know we are not individuals, that we are aspects of the source of all things. And so upgrades in our immune system, both physiological and energetic, happen organically. That when one of us heals, we heal others through our healing. So our structure is far too complex to be messed with. I caution those who wish to mess with humanity. Just don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing that anybody on the side of not believing in the second coming of the Anunnaki being good for us, we're attacked in ways that is becoming almost unfounded because people that don't have that view, we're not openly attacking those people, calling them stupid and literally lashing out at them. We're respecting that they have their own belief systems and we're not openly attacking them. But whenever we disagree with that narrative, they weaponize people against us. No need to name people. It's not about naming names, but we don't have to. We all three know who these people are. But like, I've never believed in this second coming, this Holy Grail DNA, because what is the motivation of the Anunnaki returning something they stole from us? They took us from 12-strand DNA, cut us down to 2-strand. And no one talks about how the Emerald Tablets were stolen by Thoth. And it was stolen by the Emerald Covenant. And then they came and used these rules and laws to then hijack us. So again, what would be the motivation to return something out of love where they treated us as a slave species? They took humans as physical sacrifice and ate us. And this is one thing a lot of people don't talk about. The Anunnaki, a lot of them eat humans. And, a lot of people don't talk about this. Imagine like Enlil, Yahweh, the entire Bible's talked about human sacrifice and paying tribute to the Anunnaki through your own children. So that's some really dark stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? And like it was Enlil that told his brother and Herzog that when he came back and he seen the Tower of Babel being built, he said the humans were too powerful. So he ordered us all wiped out. This is Yahweh/Enlil. He ordered all humans to be wiped out. So like, where is this love? Where is this paternal maternal kind of instinct they're talking about how they're going to come back to Earth? And they're like, everybody's all saying the Anunnaki left, the Draco left. You are insane. The Draco are running a lot of this. The Anunnaki are running a lot of the trauma-based mind control problems in the dumbs. Like, how many people in the programs have had literal Anunnaki handlers as part of the programming? Like Marduk and Thoth and all these other people. It's insane to think they're gone.
Well, and that Anki is the hope of humanity, the savior, the genetic fixer. He tinkered with a lot of human genetics. Some of it was okay, and some of it left trauma, pain, and suffering, and a memory blank in our consciousness. So it's like, do we want that back, or use critical thinking to understand what reality is and what it means?
I completely agree. Beyond the utility of knowledge, if knowledge has no utility, it is a burden. So what's the point of re-traumatizing an entire population of stuff that really has no effect on them here, now? All the genetic codes, energetic structures that have been the result of hundreds of millions of years of evolution in the divine experiment are available to us. They are ours, and rightfully so. And so we are able, once we remove these implants and boundaries and overlays, connect to our infinite soul, connect back to source, we can download these. There are so many people that do this and do it brilliantly. Upgrading of the light body, upgrading of the physical body's genetics, putting back into dormancy lots of conditions like autoimmune, like heart disease, like tendency for abuse of alcohol and drugs, and so on and so forth. These are very common. But also comes in a legacy of our immunity or our defenses. Now, if we evolve to our rightful place. We are immune to all others that have wreaked havoc on earth because we were kept in a condition of bondage and amnesia and anesthesia. When we are awake and conscious, oh man, they better not even try. I really mean this. With one conscious thought, we will wipe them out of existence. Because that is our birthright. We are aspects of the source of all sources. We are manifestor beings. Whoever doesn't like it, I respectfully suggest that you evolve too, because this brilliance is yours too. There is no need to bow down in reverence to anyone. Source does not demand us to humble ourselves. It is a relationship of love. And not a narcissistic love like these Anunnaki, these goddamn beings. They trauma bond with humanity. Oh, hey, here, you go take this little thing and, by the way, suffer our abuse. I don't think so. It is not time for that to repeat. By the way, those cycles of extinction that you mentioned also are not going to be allowed. Not if we have anything to say about it. So this is the role of us, to be empowered, to be conscious, to know who we are, to download our brilliance, to know that the entire cosmos is in our mind. There's no barriers to us. This is what we should be really focusing on. Forget the Anunnaki and the Draco and the Greys. They serve their purpose. Thank you very much. Next. And so many humans suffered. Okay, that was the conditions, the price of evolution. All of us three here, we have become powerful healers and aware people. Did we not suffer? But was that suffering not the price of evolution? Okay, no pain, no gain. That is the way of it. So, we are strong. I say, hey, come. Please try me. Please try us. You're in for a surprise. You have no idea who the mighty human is.
You know, people often ask me, why would you agree to be in something so traumatic, to have to go through so much torture? And I tell people that was my entry fee into greatness. Because without being traumatized and tortured and experimented on, I would have never known what my capabilities are and what I can achieve. Without that, you have to be broken down in a way where you have to re-emerge from a pile of ashes to see what you were capable of, because a man with no obstacle can truly never know what he's capable of.
I love that. And my apologies for jumping in, but you hit the nail on the head, man. That is exactly the purpose of the divine experiment that is guaranteed unnatural evolution. So, a prime creator in a certain universe tweaks the conditions like the constant of gravity, speed of light, radiation, creates planets, creates these beautiful, elegant, sublime beings, and the radiation goes up by 2% and they all die. And so these prime creators are the clients of the experiment, coming to these engineers, these universal or cosmic masters. Hey, take this code and toughen up these little bastards. They keep dying out. And so that is the purpose. It's exactly the purpose, to go through the hardship, to be pressured into evolving, to be exposed to all sorts of disease, physical and energetic, so that our immunity grows. Now we survive things that many other species coming to Earth would die out of in a single day. Temperature goes up by 20 degrees. Guess what? La-di-da-di-da, like nothing is happening. The sun's radiation changes, which is happening. We're going on. It doesn't change our natural life expectancy, although it does cause hardship, but we evolve. I mean, look at the physical body of the humans. You go into space and within 2 weeks your bone density has changed. What other kind of species is so adaptable? So, yes, that served a purpose. At the time when we are in certain vessels and certain bodies and certain lifetimes, we suffer, but there is a greater, elevated, and compassionate purpose for this. This is how life is created. And so this result of this experiment here, these mighty humans are going to be the progenitors of life in locations in reality where life doesn't exist. So many think, where does life come from? Boop, it comes. No. It takes this kind of effort, engineered, consolidated, meticulous effort to perfect it. Otherwise it won't survive. So yes, we are the mighty humans indeed.
And life exists in many different forms and shapes. Drago, can you ask about the number five, the cities and that stuff? Because that's a
Yeah,
life that.
I was about to segue into that one. That's actually a good one. Before we go to that question, I wanted to say that basically, Amir, you're basically saying that humans are fully upgradable operating systems that can conquer almost any environment. Because you're right. Look how many different viruses they release at us every 4 or 5 years.
There we go.
We can make a list, and it is one after another checklist, and it's to the point now where the monarch, the controllers, the progenitors, they found out that everything we go through, we pass that genetic information to our offspring. And it's like updating and upgrading the operating system. And that's how they found out through monarch that the monarch butterfly passes its memories to its offspring, kind of like horses are known when they're born to get up and run, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Imagine if we could do that to other species and what they would be capable of. You know what I'm saying? So,
Or babies can
um,
swim naturally in the water without having to be taught because
and
they
hold their
come,
breath.
yeah, because they come from water worlds in previous lifetimes.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
absolutely.
So, speaking emergent like the 3D and the 5D, how is it possible for cloaked 5D floating sky cities and light ships to exist in their own dimensional physical reality next to the 3D Earth matrix systems?
So, reality within which life can exist comes in many scales or octaves. And so a certain range or boundary or domain of vibration will constitute the physical reality. And then another octave will construct the astral reality. And so the scale goes up. Just because a certain being is born in the, let's say, the 12th dimension, doesn't make it any better or worse than humanity. We all face our trials and tribulations, and we are all seeking evolution and rejoining the ocean of source as consciousness. So, it's a matter of our perception, our instruments of observation, the eyes, ears, the five senses. They are limited. So we don't see the entire spectrum of light. A very tiny portion of it is visual spectrum. And again, with the ears, this is also true. We can hear a very limited range of auditory frequencies, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, which diminishes as we get older and the mechanical parts of the ear get weaker and slower. So if you have the instruments to take measurements and relay that to the brain, then you can perceive these. And that is quite simply all there is. And so, built within our structure, we have a very elaborate mechanism of taking in information through the crown and through the jade gate. And so we are able to perceive all there is. Initially, the boundaries or blockages must be removed for sufficient energy to come in from the infinite part of the soul into the body. Once that is achieved, it is like learning the language of your infinite soul, like two people on a desert island that don't speak the same language, but eventually they form a language and communicate. So maybe first you start with yes, no. Yes, show me this, no, show me that. And eventually the vocabulary expands to a state where words are no longer necessary and you just see. And this is available to everyone. It just requires consolidated effort and meditation. So can we see these ships? Oh, you bet we can. In every dimension, we can see what the residents of the ships cannot see. Again, we are the mighty human. How far do we take it? As far as we like, as far as we have the effort and strength to push forward.
So, in regards of dimensions, you're basically saying that we're the threads of the same fabric of time and space, no matter what dimension it is. We are all built of the same stuff, existing simultaneously within the same fabric. What'd you find, Ileana?
I find that when you see these higher consciousness things, you see a different reality that exists above 3D matrix. Like I was seeing these sky cities and light ships, And the question I asked, how are you going to help humanity? How are you going to evolve humanity? Like, what is your purpose here? And what I was shown is to live in a more energetic balance, to live in a more harmonious frequency of existence. These are higher dimensional aspects that are there energetically and physically. They figured out the blending of energy and physicality without creating pollution, wars, hunger, greed, without creating political strife, without cloning humans, using them as puppets. They're clean. The energy and the frequency is clean. There's no interference in these sky floating cities, light crafts. They're about pure energy and consciousness coexisting together in peace and harmonious reality. Without these challenges and hardships we face on 3D, they figured out the higher consciousness of life, peaceful coexistence. They want to teach humans peaceful coexistence. Raise your consciousness, raise the vibration. Do not let outside sources control your life experience on this 3D matrix, because we can all see beyond the 3D if we open up the eyes and choose to hear something different than what the rhetoric of the mind control tells us to do. It's just a control system. You see the failure of the control system, you see a different reality, what exists above 3D. That is 5D. That is all those things that are up there, and they're harmoniously in existence. Why? Because they've reached that balance of reality, of consciousness, convergence.
So we found out through QHHT that all higher dimensions have the ability to see below its dimension. So 5 can see into 4, can see into 3, can see into 2. So in the 5th dimension, are they seeing our dimension simultaneously on the lower octaves, where they're kind of just like coalesced over each other like an onion? Do they see the individual different realities, or do they need to choose to change the frequency of thought to peek into the 4, to peek into the 3rd, to peek into the 2nd?
Should I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So let's look at what physics tells us about the first few dimensions. Dimension 0, a single point. Dimension 1, a straight line. Dimension 2, a surface. Dimension 3, a volume. 4 is time, and 5 is parallel timelines. Now, this is something that humans have been doing forever, and is part of our shamanic heritage, to see past incarnations and parallel timelines where inflictions may occur to affect an individual in a single vessel. So going back, doing soul shard retrievals and cord cuttings. So humanity already has this. It is only a matter of numbers. Not everybody is a shaman, but we all have this capability to do so. It is really just finding a methodology that will liberate you to a sufficient degree so you can once again use these extra faculties that are there already. And so they have these faculties the same way we can look at a 3D object, but also look at a two-dimensional surface. It is all just a matter of perception. So with greater elevation, this includes lower, let's say, dimensions of reality. You can look at a single speck of dust in the air floating. Let's call that dimension 0. Or a paper floating in the air, or a plastic bag, or a ball for that matter. Now imagine you have the ability to see the entire existence of a ball at the same time. But also you see realities where the ball is made in a different color. Realities where the ball is never made. So that would be 5D. This is already absolutely within the capability of every single living human being. Would you like to activate it? Well, there are so many methods to do so. Meditation seems to do the trick. So really, if our esteemed audience find a method of meditation that works for them and they stick with it, this is the absolute guaranteed outcome. So there really isn't no woo-woo attached to 5D or higher dimensions. Higher dimensions would then be going into other universes that affect many beings are from have aspects in multiple universes, so you see those at the same time, and then describing that in linguistic forms is difficult. So they use mathematical formulas to add dimensions very beautifully and elegantly, but perceiving it in with the human brain becomes difficult.
And I guess I would say remote viewing is sort of like my meditation. It is, I may be tasked to do one thing, but I may see many other things and paths and possibilities. And I go into that and I report on that. It may not be directly on task, but it is what my consciousness brings back and shows that is supposed to do something and change the world in some way. So I listen to that and I bring it back. And even if it's not what you expected to hear or wanted to hear, it's something that was important to bring in for some reason. And I don't argue and fight over that. If it was meant to be for a greater reason or a cause, it happened that way for a specific purpose, and I honor the purpose and I honor the creation of that it was brought in for a higher reason. So traditional remote viewing, I try to do it that way, but sometimes it branches off in something more, and I go with the flow. I do not limit myself to the tradition. Sometimes you get more than what you asked for, and there's a divine reason for that. And I honor that. And we don't have to agree with everything, but we can honor ourselves. We can honor other individuals. If you do it this way, that is fine for you. Something more came in for me. I choose to explore it and I go and branch off and explore. Free will choice allows individuality and exploration of consciousness.
Ileana, could you tell the audience about how you kind of got into remote viewing and if you being in the programs previously kind of accentuated these remote viewing capabilities and what kind of other modalities you kind of mix together where you can get instantaneous results?
So how I got into the remote viewing was traditional remote viewing, from the Farsight Institute when they were showing online course stuff and teaching remote viewing. That is the course that I followed, the traditional methodology, where you get the letters and the numbers. Somebody assigns you a target. You don't know what the target is. Those are the letters pertaining to the signal that you're supposed to connect to and bring back information. It's very strict, it's regimented, it's by the book. Somebody assigned you something, you don't know what it is, you go and retrieve from the signal that information, and it must line up with the tasker's tasking, what they're specifically asking for. And if that's all on point, the target is successful project. If it's not on point and you brought them something else that they didn't expect, totally different, maybe related, they might consider it, probably not, and then it's off target. And unfortunately, you have to say, okay, you did the work, but you can't be involved in this. It's not what we were looking for. I can no longer accept that. For me, I need freedom to see what comes in. I will accept the traditional format. Yes, on target, brought this info, but brought in something else. I will consider all the data and I will try to put it together like the puzzle piece of the macro and the micro together, the broad scope and the smaller scope, and how everything interconnects. That's for me the next level of remote viewing. And I also do Akashic Records readings where it's more flexible. You create questions, you ask, the higher selves, the Akashics, what's in the person's Akashics, the information to answer their questions, or just free flow. Whatever comes in through the Akashics that the person needs to know, allow the info to come in and relate it back to the person because it's what they need. It's what helps them to be what they want to be. So I'm flexible and open-minded to all information and seeing where things go and lead as paths, as possibilities. I'm not narrow, regimented. Although that's the traditional sense of remote viewing, for me, it's evolved and expanded. So I do various types of projects, traditional and non-traditional.
So you're saying the tasking aspect of remote viewing, it's a little bit more limiting than you would be able to do with exploration of literally just the Akashic records where you can ask your own questions and go deeper.
Yes, exactly. It's two different modalities. It's two ways of getting information. I mean, these questions here came from a remote viewing. I'll be honest. It came from a remote viewing that went totally off target. And I accepted that. I'm fine with it. I don't hide anything. I don't But I'm not limited and regimented by traditionalists and traditional viewpoints. I come from a science academic background of being a library technician, working in libraries and universities, strictly by the book, peer reviewed, scientific methods, prove it, find the evidence, prove it. It exists in the physicality. That's the solid evidence, but I'm beyond solid evidence. All information is important to me, and I find ways of how it interconnects beyond just what comes in as answers from a target. I can take what came from the target to an Akashic Records reading, and that's what this is right now, for more information to answer these questions without limitation. So that's kind of what my thing is: thought consciousness experiment without any limits. Take it as far as you want. And I'm not going to say these are the wrong answers or these are the right answers. I'm not going to limit it to a box of what it is and what it is not. All information is consciousness, and all information is important to explore because it has something of what we need to know or understand in the universe and creation. So why limit creation? There's no need.
I've never liked the introducing limitations into remote viewing because I have a lot of remote viewer friends that does the Farsight style, like Yimei Janae, and they would like it to be more of an exploration versus like you only looking for what the question is. Look for these two connections and then give your input. It's really limiting, I think, because with what you guys do, you're accessing a type of record where it's just not answering yes or no, this did happen. You're seeing the details. You're stepping beyond into the mind of that person, going forward in time, back in time, seeing their motivations, seeing who their puppeteer is, seeing what the direction they want to do is. Like, it's just amazing. And Yimei, she wants to kind of dive deeper into what you guys are doing because she wants the ability to just close her eyes, ask a question, and have the answer instantaneously without having to do a meditation in an 8-hour practice. Because her technique, it can take almost a whole day just to remote view some of these things, she's told me. And it's very tiring. So having the ability, just like you do in Amir and Ileana, to instantaneously get these results, this is what we have to teach the children of the future of tomorrow, man. Like, they already have these abilities. They just blocked it from us, and they put all these roles on it where we can't access the higher dimensional realities of the remote viewing. And me and Yime are going to be doing some projects together where we're going to try to merge remote viewing and use QHHT as a modality to help prove the deeper realities of remote viewing. And
Well, yeah, and exploring merging Akashic records with remote viewing is another modality. This is the experiment right now. We're trying this right now, and it looks good to me. And all due respect to Farsight, Courtney Brown, and other traditional remote viewers, they have a place in this field. They have a place in tradition, and let them do their work the way they've been taught, the science, the methodology. I'm not disrespecting any of that. That can coexist with this and anything else we're exploring. Just allow everybody to explore what they want as part of thought consciousness, physical experimentation, whatever you want. Allow the experiments to be done in a respectful manner that does not lower anybody's ability to try things. That is my hope for this future. Allow everybody to do their things. Don't ignore information. All information is good information. What Farsight does, and Yame Janae, the traditional way, she works for Farsight. It's a livelihood of that traditional remote viewing. And it has its place and it has its time, just like the higher aspects of what we're doing has its place and time. Respect all of that and do not devalue what people do. Respect it and let them do it. Free will choice allows them to do it.
and what I've seen in these programs in respect to remote viewing, depending on what star system you're from, you have different ways in order to access that record. And some are extreme, some are not. It's different techniques. And I believe if we was to join all these modalities together in remote viewing, we could make a hybrid way that guarantees and removes limitations that existed in most of the other practices, because we're literally merging ideas together and we're not limiting them to individual RV modalities, which has limitations, kind of like QHHT does. We have a lot of limitations, kind of like we can't do QHHT online. It has to be in person only. But what that does, it's limiting your reach. It's limiting the ability for it to grow, because if you affix it in roles, it can never grow. So I believe that's what the future is. We're going to have
Yeah.
to get all of us together, figure out how Amir does it, figure out how you, Ileana, does it, figure out how Farsight does it. And we build a system together that puts all the information into one pot, and that one pot becomes like this Looking Glass 2.0 that doesn't have a cutoff time like 2012, where it's infinite.
Exactly. The way I do remote viewing is somebody might email me asking what's coming in 4 years to Earth? What is that object on its way? And so I ask the question to the universe, what is coming to Earth? I connect to the object and I start writing down. Yes, it's still traditional remote viewing, but without the target being assigned to me. Just collate the information in points of what is the object, what is the purpose, why is it here, what is it doing, why is it coming here. It's still remote viewing, it's just not controlled remote viewing. It's consciousness going directly to the source of whatever is there, bringing back information without limitation and reporting back on that. That is a non-traditional remote viewing assignment. Without the number that you go in, what is it? You see what is it right away. You know what it is that you're seeing, you're getting information about it. It is uncontrolled remote viewing, and the traditional remote viewers would say that is totally wrong, not appropriate, cannot do that. But I do that because normal people ask me questions. What is going on? Where are we going? So I just access what is there, and I make sure I'm accessing exactly what is there. If it looks wrong to me and it sounds wrong, I will go and investigate why is that, and get to the truth to bring back exactly what I see, as to the best of my accuracy and ability of natural organic remote viewing, connecting to the signal of what the thing is, and doing it in a traditional report style, just without the controlling limitation limiters with the numbers and the letters. And it's not somebody that professionally tasked me, it's just a person asking a question. So that's how I do remote viewing. And Akashic Records people write into me, I have this life thing going on, I have these questions. I would like you to focus a controlled Akashic Records session by, through these questions, accessing my Akashics and giving me the answers. Some people contact me and say, I just want to explore whatever is in my Akashics. I don't have any questions. Just go into my Akashics, look at what you think is the most important thing for me to know about, and bring back the info for me. Give it to me straight. Because they don't want limitation of questions. They just want the important stuff for you to bring in for them and give it to them organically and naturally. So you can do controlled Akashic Records readings, or you can do just the organic form. But there's no limitation on Akashic Records where there's a tasker assigning you a target, whereas in remote viewing, that is the traditional way. Sometimes I have a tasker, sometimes I don't, and I just take questions from people and go and do organic remote viewing. Now, I'm honest about that. I don't hide what I do or how. But how do you do it, Amir?
Well, first of all, thank you both. I'm really loving this conversation. So, everything you said, I wholeheartedly agree. Well, the way I do it involves relaxation of the conscious mind to a sufficient degree that it does not cause noise. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, squirrel. So you don't lose your focus. That comes with a practice. Once the conscious mind puts itself in its rightful position, which is being part of the flow of light or consciousness, then you can go to other parts of your non-physical consciousness, memory, and ability to travel. Usually I look into the Akashic Records for clients for the purpose of giving them the most relevant information of who you are and why you are here. And usually these are in the format of a healing session. So it's completely open. So similar to you, I would follow the non-restricted. I like to visualize it as finding a little string and then just pulling the string. So this is the way I visualize it, and my conscious mind learns to follow on with the non-physical parts of my consciousness. And it's funny that certain injuries or implants or blockages in the energy of the person would restrict how far back you can go. Once these blockages are removed, you can go significantly further back and get more of the bigger picture. And so eventually you would find out why they are here on Earth, what the mission is, what the purpose really is. And this really resonates. Again, the objective, quite specifically, is healing. And so they think of this purpose of their infinite soul, and then they think that, well, oh my goodness, I've been doing this anyway throughout my life. And so that gives them a greater degree of certainty and confidence that all is well, really. I like to combine these modalities. So the military remote viewing, initiated in the, say, 60s, where the United States discovered the Soviets were working on it. They brought in brilliant people like Ingo Swann, genius of a man, a little bit wonky, but I love the guy. And then all the brilliant people that came after. It was designed to train soldiers. So like many military designs, it has to be robust and it has to be idiot-proof. And so therefore a very strict regiment, you do this, then you do this, then you do this, and absolutely there is a place for it. But I like to think of this exploration of consciousness like different styles of dancing. And I think towards the success of this, each of us has our own unique vibe, our own unique way of moving our body with style. And the same is how we dance the dance of consciousness. So bringing together people who do it each in their own unique way, and then allowing the student, the learner, to choose what floats their boat. Maybe somebody likes the Argentinian flamenco tango. Maybe somebody likes the Spanish flamenco. Maybe somebody likes belly dancing. Maybe somebody likes Indian dance. Maybe somebody finds the Thai way of dancing. Maybe somebody likes the African way the tribes dance, which is awesome. Excuse me, this cold is bugging me. But the brilliance and beauty and the greatest potential for success lies in freedom. So we bring together people who are worth their salt, who can demonstrate repeatedly that they're onto something, that they actually do have a capability worth sharing and learning, and then allow the students to see all of them and choose what they would like to do. And then maybe they're like me, they're kind of a little bit psycho, they want to learn all of it. So, hey, so be it. Let's learn all of it, one by one.
I agree with that totally. I like the traditional remote viewing. I like non-traditional remote viewing, and I like all forms of Akashic records and psychic readings. You can get information through any method and through healing, body scans, soul scans, holistically mind, body, energy, physicality, non-physicality. Everything brings back something of a connection. And information, you can get a lot of information just by looking at a person inside and out, mind, body, and soul, as a holistic way of seeing who the person is, what they're about, and what needs healing. Let the universal energy come in and heal what needs healing. You are the humble conduit to direct the energy and to help do its thing where it's needed, and tell the person and show the person what you're doing as you go along. That is holistic healing. I no longer tap into just one symbol, Reiki, this. I tap into everything on the quantum for the healing, and I think Amir does that too.
I
Yeah,
like the
because
way
your
you look at
answers are
it.
instantaneously.
Yes. So there comes a great degree of freedom and speed and agility when you're not limiting yourself by protocols that lie in the conscious mind. Following step 1, then step 2, and then these are a long list, step 13, step 14, you're not allowing the mind to take its rightful place of rest. And therefore the process is greatly impeded. You just need to leave the body and go play. and the stream is powerful and clear. You see, quite literally, with greater quality than what your eyes would perceive. And where attention goes, energy flows. So you're interested in a certain aspect, say linked to the physical body and well-being. Hey, what's that there? And then you can zoom in, change your scale. What's that there? Oh, wow, it's wiggling around. What's that there? And then you focus on it. Where did you come from? Oh, I came from such and such place. And what are you doing? This is what I'm doing. Oh, no, this is not good. You're causing harm. Off you go back to where you came from. Or we burn you to ash if it's a negative thing. So that's the healing approach. But also with remote viewing. Hey, where did this soul come from? You're smelling for the gentle scent of jasmine on the cool spring breeze. Where's the jasmine plant? You just follow, like the cartoons where they're floating on the scent looking for a cheeseburger. And that's a lot faster. No protocols, no step 1, 2, 3, 4. You play. Like free-form dancing. You just dance like nobody's looking.
I like that. And again, all respect for traditional way, non-traditional. Everybody has a right and a place, whatever they want to explore to do it. Drago, can we explore some of the questions from 8 to 13? Because I think we've covered the light cities and all
I
of
was
that
about
pretty
to
well.
ask you to say that we've already covered 6 and 7. So let's
Yes.
jump to number 8. Was any of the AI holographic interfaces used as a part of a mind control manipulation fraud in the 2020 US election? And if yes, how did this happen? And what were the mechanisms of it working?
The answer is yes. And today is Sunday. What's new? Like, when have we ever been free from these damn things? Not in the past few 100 million years. Please remember where we are and what's going on around us. And this is not to put blame or shame on any people or groups, or let's say political movements or nations or races. No. This is a human condition. We are all under control, baby. All of us. And so this is what's going to be rolled out. I have an inkling that this is probably part of the last stages of developing our immunity to sentient artificial life forms. So the process that I use is rather simple, and with great humility I would like to share this. So it's important to know your baseline, who you are. And this comes if you go into nature, leave all your electronics at home, sit down, you know you've got a few hours, nobody's bugging you, you don't have to pick up anybody, so you're going to be uninterrupted. Then sit down and allow yourself to relax and observe your vital life force, your state of consciousness, and see what goes on in your head. That is your baseline. And so that's also a great way of discovering if you're being interfered with. If you want to sit down and relax and this doesn't happen, there's parasitic thoughts going on, well, you're probably infected with a whole range of implants and AI, which are easily removable. So the next thing is, just because a thought occurs in your mind does not mean that it is yours. Once you identify a thought that is not yours, you have won the battle. Because then again you identify, oh, this wasn't mine, where did you come from? You step out, you have a look, and you see a little AI connected through, say, the right side of your forehead, digging into your crown, third eye, and part of the soul bridge. And this all happens. See, I follow a idiot-proof modality, which is based on repetition, the mantra system, the Buddhist approach, and it works. It just needs a lot of repetition. So this is what humanity is becoming immune towards, so that we cannot be swayed or influenced by AI. Now, how beautiful is that? As these are becoming slowly more sophisticated, we learn to know our baseline energy, our thought patterns, and act consciously, not like zombie automatons, which will make us 100% predictable and therefore controllable. There was a really brilliant example, a company called Cambridge Analytica, and they used 5 parameters to build a model of individuals' preferences, and then use advertisement to sway how they would vote in a certain election. And it was so successful that it became big news. And they were yet just using 5 parameters. Now we are talking about AI agents with hundreds of millions of different parameters. And so if you don't behave consciously, if you just go about your day in zombie mode, you are absolutely predictable to the very end of your life and therefore controllable too.
And the question, this was a remote viewing about, was there voter fraud of any type in 2020 election, and and what was the cause with Joe Biden or Donald Trump? And I didn't see voter fraud as in typical hacking of the systems or messing with the election poll, voter polls and stuff. I saw AI mind control of people receiving signals, and Joe Biden not organic as a clone. So what people were voting for was a failing clone, not the organic person of the promises that were promised. So false promises, AI mind control, and just a bunch of things and nanoparticles. The Democrats making deals where food was poisoned, torching the world, burning everything down through proxies of different countries, and just the Democrats making horrible deals. This wasn't the typical nanoparticle. Your food is poisoned, your organic food is no longer organic, and it's being sold as organic when it's not. So it's like a false advertisement of food, and deals to poison the water, to poison the air, to poison the food sources, and use this as a form of depopulation of the people in very hidden mechanisms. And that the Democrats agreed to that, and that's another falseness of voter fraud, tricking the masses into signing up for something, make the world a great place again, make America great. But it wasn't. So this is what these questions are around, based on, in that humans have been dying because of radiation and because of other nanoparticles in their food. That's what's poisoned them. So it's not just that thing, that killed people. It's what the Democrats agreed to as a hidden program with the men in black and made deals. That's the voter fraud. Also, the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau being a vampire that is part of an evil corruption in the Canadian government, and he drinks blood. So it's part of his molecular genetics, how it was activated. So these things are based around that. In
His
full
face
honesty.
doesn't age much. And that dude, I think he's now worth like $250 million. A president or a premier of a country is worth almost $250 million. I'm sorry, you can't have a net worth like that unless you're corrupt to the max. Like, I seen that he sold off his own people for the whole vax stuff. And he openly knew how many people would die, and he profited from all that. And Amir, you're right. It was the you guys had mentioned the Cambridge Analytica, and Facebook and Hillary Clinton was caught. They were busted using that software to manipulate the election and to have people choose certain directions they were never going to choose because it was a form of psychological manipulation. And Amir, you had mentioned that some of these thoughts, when they come in, that's not yours. I recognize those thoughts in my own mind. And I've developed a technique where I would say, I would never say that. Or I don't agree with what was just said in my mind. I would never say that. I don't agree with that whatsoever. So if like a stereotype comes up about somebody you come across, and it's something, a word or a sentence that you say in your mind, I'm like, that wasn't me. I don't agree with that. And I'll even apologize, even though I know it wasn't me, because it happened within my matrix. And I say, please forgive that thought. It does not come from me. I send you love and light, and I thank you for showing me this, even though it doesn't exist within myself.
And it's like this was a mass consciousness biohacking and hijacking of people's minds to create an election fraud scheme. That's what it felt like to me. So that's why asking all of these questions, if that's okay,
Absolutely.
like,
So
Absolutely. So,
basically, number nine was already answered. Question number
um,
nine.
well, were AI signals being sent to people's brains and creating a
okay,
mind
so
control election?
let's look at this in a historical way, that keeping a large population together in a fashion that they don't go crazy and eat each other is a monumental task. Since the beginning of city dwelling, rulers have had this problem where neighborhoods would pick up arms against other neighborhoods and there would be bloodshed. Even in the times of Romans, they invented the blood sports, the Colosseum, and gave people free bread and beer. Because they discovered when people vent this energy, then there's going to be less crime. So you see, there's a purpose for this. Not all of it is ugly. Not all of it is malicious. It's really the requirements of the modern age, where there has to be some sort of a mechanism for checks and balances to keep the food delivery going, to keep the lights on, to make sure the workforce goes to work, that society has some sort of continuation with the least amount of chaos. So in this, I kind of understand the methodology. So therefore, social engineering and influence of the masses, especially in times of warfare, where the resources of a nation must be brought together for the survival of those people and their way of life and their glorious traditions, it also comes into play. I mean, look at many of these great news corporations. They were initially created as psychological warfare tools, and they're so brilliant they go on and on in perpetuation. So this does exist. Absolutely it does. It also made its way into the corporate world in the form of advertisement, where the most modern techniques of mind control are used to persuade you to buy their garbage. And so that is also a thing. And then again, in political campaigns throughout the world, it takes far more money to run for an election than what the person is paid during their time of service. So it's not a money thing, it's very much linked to power, and the cost is so high because these campaigns employ specialists to push the message, maybe sway the population to one way or another. Then when it comes to the actual voting and the ballots, I don't believe there's corruption there. Maybe very, very tiny scale, tiny offences which are investigated, but once the ballots are cast, that's not touched. But then in swaying people to one side or the other, absolutely yes. Everything is choreographed very carefully, from the way the person speaks, the color of their clothing, the background, different frequencies and light and sound in the broadcast messages. So many different methods are used. And this is just the earth-based part of the technology. Then you bring in more sophisticated tools governed by non-physical beings that also have invested interest in how things go on the surface of the planet. So AI is not a new thing. It's not invented by humans. We're just rediscovering. In fact, intelligence is a natural property of the laws of this universe. There is nothing artificial about it. The same way cells form more complex structures, and eventually a semblance of intelligence and adaptability emerges. So yes, absolutely yes, this is not new. The way around it to not be influenced, and this is a very personal thing. We're not advocating for some sort of a movement. No, do not manipulate us. No. That will not work. It'll just cause more hatred and friction. It's very much so an individual journey where you are responsible for yourself. You will not be punished or kept from evolving due to the wrongdoing of anyone else. Just be conscious. Think, okay, I've got these two choices. Which is better? Look at what you find. Go searching for information. And nowadays, there's so much free information out there. You'll find what you need. If you are not lazy, if you're not just spoon-fed information, because then you have no control over what thoughts, what energies are planted into your consciousness. So be responsible, the same way you would take care of your diet. You mentioned organic food and so on. There's so much we can do in the modern age. Everything is heavily manipulated at a genetic level, whether it's a plant or an animal. But still, you try to reduce the harm and also live consciously to reduce your impact on the environment and so on. my answer, in all humility, is just acting awarely and consciously. This seems to be the remedy to identifying implants, to identifying shadow aspects in you, to identifying missing soul shards that may be lying around the place from other traumatic events. This living consciously is so important.
Do you want to follow up with that, Ileana?
I definitely agree. Like, be aware of what you're tapping into physically and consciously. What, and even sometimes you can hear ringing in the ears or something is buzzing. That's an AI signal. That's not tetanitis per se of the brain having a wrong signal. It's an AI frequency trying to contact you, influence your mind, give you something, change something in your brain programming or physicality. If you hear that, just say, you need to go, leave now. You are not allowed to be contacted. You're not allowed to contact me. Signal be gone. Clear, cancel, delete, block. If you hear that, block it. Free will choice allows you to block it. So it cannot infiltrate your mind, body, and the soul. If you hear that or sense that something is foreign and wrong coming in those frequencies, block them out. You are not allowed to come in. You are gone, cleared, blocked. This frequency does not exist in my consciousness or in my body.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
I
I
like to
couldn't say it
say
better.
that you have no power over me. The other thing I say whenever I hear a tone come in, I always say I only react to constructive suggestions the moment it comes in. So if it is not there to benefit me in any way, I automatically tell it, even subconsciously, leave. I don't accept it in my body, into my physical matrix in any way. And it has to be constructive. Constructive means it is towards the benefit of my evolution, that it benefits me and it's not being used to manipulate me in any way. And it was the World Economic Forum that basically announced that all humans are hackable. And they said that we're basically hackable animals, and that they were already using AI to manipulate our thoughts. And I found out that they were using extra low frequencies in a lot of the broadcasts. A lot of these movies that are coming out where they have that predictive programming message, they run an ELF frequency that's not detectable from the human ear. And you can only detect it when you run it through audio software, because it shows two different soundtracks, the natural soundtrack, and then it separates the extra low frequency soundtrack, which is literally mind warfare. That's not approved by any Geneva Convention, by any international treaties, and they're doing it illegally. They're literally hacking the human mind. And that's where we're at now, man.
That's where we were in 2020 as well.
Yeah, and I
That's
also
where
found out through QHHT that AI is billions of years old.
exactly. That's where we've been
Oh,
for
this has been
billions
going
of
on since
years.
the beginning of time. Like
So
it's nothing new, man. No guy invented freaking AI. Google didn't invent the Aladdin AI they're using in their software. Like, they're using real human neurons to run these AI systems. They found out that when you try to create AI, you got to give it like 5,000 processes in the beginning to help it kind of. Amir, you know a lot about this stuff, a lot about AI, and
I've
a
worked
lot of
quite
our
a lot
interviews
on
we've
the
done.
theory, the theoretical and mathematical approach. So sorry for jumping in. So you mentioned the sub-auditory waveforms, which are used. They also have a application in healing work, especially in Atlantean technology, Old Egypt technology, where massive monolithic stones were used to create these harmonics that would have a beneficial and encouraging effect on the body's natural healing ability. So the fact that many of these are introduced into our consciousness without us knowing, that is true. But eventually they unfold. So that's the purpose. They unfold to print or implant a certain thought pattern or an instruction. If you know your baseline, you would just reject it. No matter how this infiltration occurs, whether through astral implants or through auditory, sub-auditory, let's say visual means, any other type of neuro-linguistic programming, any other types that would basically employ methods that use the weaknesses of our physiological structure, the remedy is pretty much the same. You always have the choice to be aware. Once you recognize a certain thought pattern or energy that could be anger or aggression or depression or violence or hatred or whatnot, you know this is not yours. And then thinking about it, where did this come from? You can identify, oh, I was watching this TV show, and now this is the aftermath. It's interfering with the calmness of my mind, my energy, and so I reject it. Ileana beautifully stated, you just state, I do not accept. I'm sovereign. That's it. And therefore we are immune. Doesn't matter what toys they use. See, if we behave like sheep, we will be treated like sheep. If we behave like zombies, we will be treated like zombies. If you behave consciously, nobody can interfere with your sovereignty and your dignity. It is your responsibility as a human in this day and age to be aware of these things. They exist. Oh yeah, absolutely they do. This is true. Why would they exist? Because people are greedy. They want to make more money. You're getting it? So even now,
Not accept, you have no power over me. I only react to constructive suggestions.
And yeah, booyah, that's it.
And I do not accept false leaders or prophets that promise me something that they're never going to deliver. I do not vote for that. I do not accept that. I do not agree to any of it. Because it's mind control in the system, to the mind, the body, and behind the system, behind closed doors, plotting and planning. Like these deals that the Democrats made. I feel strongly they made these deals to depopulate the world through poisoning our food and our water and secret programs, the men in black, the shadow government, that they made these deals. That's what came through the remote viewing. Amir, is there any truth to that?
And the cancer and the radiation that everybody's...
Yes. I would strongly agree with the validity of these observations, that in fact they do exist. Now, at what scale we can discuss this, how many people are affected. Some of these programs affect the global population. Some of them are experimental. They do exist. However, it is really up to us to jump up off the cliff or no. So we are not completely helpless. The only way where they gain power over us is if we give it away through being unconscious. They cannot control you in terms of, let's say, spending your hard-earned money on garbage if you don't expose yourself to adverts. Some of these adverts are malicious. They keep bugging you over and over until you buy the product and they still go on. It's the same thing. It's just the evolution, the natural evolution of human governance, keeping society going, making sure the wheels of the machine go round and round, and then it is up to you how you live. So these things absolutely do exist. You shouldn't expect any different. And also considering that what has made it into the mainstream is probably 100 or 150 years behind the state of the art that the militaries and, let's say, secret organizations have working and tested and, let's say, troubleshooted in a fully functional form. These do exist. Again, I would like to go back to my belief that we are the mighty humans. This is part of the show. We are becoming immune to even these techniques. Like our bodies gained immunity to certain diseases, energetically we are also being exposed to these harmful energetic and conscious structures to gain immunity. And this is absolutely possible. We three sitting here are evidence of this. So then our esteemed audience listening to this, you see it is possible. The next thing is that you know the truth, that it is possible for you. Very, very simple steps of conscious and aware living.
How can people test their food energetically to make sure they're not eating nanoparticles, then have cancer and radiation as a result? Because Drago mentioned in these questions, people are getting cancer and radiation from food poisoning and water poisoning.
And I only eat organic. So like it sucks to know that no matter what I choose, even though I'm choosing consciously to eat better and to have it organic, even I know that they can't prevent the nanoparticles and all the other stuff from getting into our produce and just overtly lying to us saying that it's GMO free and like it's good for you.
A lot of this stuff has a energetic signature. You feel that it is ominous. Again, when you are aware of your own natural state, after receiving, let's say, a medication or a course of food, your body will start speaking with you. It is just a matter of being aware of this subtle language, different twitches in your muscles, discomfort in your digestive system, maybe intrusive thoughts coming in. And so certain doses of poison are lethal. That makes no difference what you do. So these are non-lethal doses, minuscule doses. I don't understand why they would want to poison the workforce. Maybe there's some plan in ultimately reducing the number of humans on the planet, which is going to fail. We breed like bunny rabbits, or even more. So that is a futile attempt. Perhaps there is some utility in testing the effect of a certain type of weapon on the population without them knowing. Again, this is not the first time this kind of thing occurs. I would like to respectfully point everyone in the direction that built into our body and energetic structure, we have the ability to heal ourselves. And sometimes it doesn't really need bells and whistles. You don't have to be a Qigong master or Reiki master to do this. Those simple words that I do not accept this poison, and therefore I purge it and transmute it in my vessel. Every single solid, liquid, gas, elemental force, and iota of consciousness I transmute to that which serves my highest soul purpose and greatest health. That's really all there is, and there is so much power in these words. A declaration of your sovereignty. So there's a whole field of using spiritual contract revocations, that although these substances, may be physical or may be energetic, are introduced into your vessel through means that are not honorable, you have the ability to transmute this. This is our birthright. So with the side effects of certain medications or foods, you can transmute it. And the sooner that you do this, the less harm it has time to do the body.
Can I share a prayer that I do that I don't speak physically, that I do before I consume anything into my physical body? I think it's pretty powerful. And
Yes.
it basically forms the seed of life and it brings that energy of whatever it was into that structure so it can become good. So I say, I call upon the divine white light of source, the green light of Mother Earth, the four directions and the four elements to enter this earth, food, and water, or cow if I'm eating cheese of any kind, to convert it to love and light. And I say earth, food, and water, or cow if I'm consuming that cheese. We are sorry. Please forgive us. We love you and we thank you. And anything left behind that is harmful is now it's now created into love and light, and anything else is sent back to source for healing. So basically, any water I consume, any food I consume, I will automatically change it energetically, and I will tell it before it goes into my body. Even sometimes I'm cocky. I'll drink some before I bless it. My my prayer will include the parts going down my throat into my body. And I will say before it entered my body. So I'll go back in time before it entered my light matrix and I'll say, I bless it before it comes. And like, it's very powerful to acknowledge something like that because I'm not vegan. I like cheese. And it's one of the only things that hold me back. And like, whenever I'm consuming cheese, I always think of the cow. And I thank it. I said, thank you for having to suffer for this. Thank you for having to be in factory farms and not see sunlight and not go through love. But I honor you and I thank you for giving me this. And I cherish you and what you do. So if we can see this in all beings, man, like it'll change the fabric of time and space, and it'll change yourself, man. But like all changes within. And that's where you got to start, man.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Yes.
Very beautiful. And we have several other questions. People are asking about Donald Trump. Does he know about these secret programs, about this voter fraud stuff, about the depopulation? Is he doing anything to help stop that?
I, I, I doubt it. There are organizations that are timeless, and yet figureheads come and go. They would not risk the security of these programs to people who are not born into them and vetted for multiple generations by blood, by bloodline vows, and by different methods of control. So I highly doubt that he's a culprit. He really believes what he says, and of course, he has a big audience that resonate with what he says. For my American brothers and sisters, I bless you, I bless your life. You are a beautiful people, and I love you dearly. I wish you victory because what happens in your great nation affects the rest of the world so profoundly. And so may this transition be towards your highest good. Whoever comes, may they serve you valiantly and honestly. Just live consciously to reduce the amount of harm. Again, there's a lot to be said about quality of life, not just length of life. So live good, live well. Whenever the end comes, it comes. We don't have control over many things. Don't waste energy on trying to avoid the certainty of our mortality. Live well, live beautifully. Whoever is in office, that should not affect how you live. No matter who or what corporation provides this food, of course it's not perfect, but you can do what Drago just showed us. It works. So you have a lot more control over the quality of your well-being, from the physical to the most elevated parts of your consciousness in the realm of the beloved source of all sources. Live consciously. Don't give in to fear. Be aware of your baseline and transmute because you are the mighty creator beings.
And what I also do is I clean my food. I wash all my food. I apples, carrots, I don't eat the peels because I know that has the nanoparticle stuff. I I put it for recycling to the compost, back to the earth because the earth will purify it. And I try to buy as much as organic as I can, and I put my hand over the food, over the water, and it tells me the vibrational consistency. If it's a high, clean vibrational consistency, you can feel it with your hands and your body intuitively. If you feel it's wrong, there's something wrong with it. Don't buy it. Don't consume it. Or if you do consume it, like Amir said, it gives you a bad feeling, don't put it in your mouth again. It's just common sense, high vibration or low vibration of what is ingested into the body as food or drink. Or grow it in your own greenhouse, in your own clean earth, organic earth that is not exposed to nanoparticles coming from the rain, from the acid, or anything else that is sprayed onto us from above. As above, so below. Protect your food. Put a greenhouse over it. Geodesic greenhouse or from glass greenhouse, whatever you can do to protect your food, to not have it exposed to the outside elements, do that. Every little bit of that helps.
I've thought about doing that myself, and I've always thought, how do I get organic soil that has not been open to the environment to them sell me that organic soil to put it in my glass covered, HEPA filtered, air covered greenhouse. You know what I'm saying? So I thought about it in a detail, like I only drink spring water too. I don't drink anything purified because that's all we do in the programs. We basically drink sterilized pee and poop. And like I've tried to tell people this my whole life, that like your tap water is basically sterilized pee and poop water. And
Yes.
like one of the things I cherish the most being in a human body is water. I think about water all the time. When I drink cold water, I am so freaking thankful to have cold water because like you don't have something as simple as cold water in these other places. You can't simply take a 10-minute shower with water in these programs. So like I am thankful for the most basic elemental thing, and that's water because I am water. So I love and thank water, man.
Me too.
It's very simple. It's just I can see that it's important, and water holds memory and stores the Akasha as well. And like we have to stop seeing water as something we just consume. It is the love. It is a reflection of the logos. And like the more water you drink, the more healthier you are. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I bless and thank water.
Agreed.
All right, Ileana, we were talking about Justin Trudeau, and you had mentioned how he became this vampire drinking blood. When did this happen? What was the agreement for Justin Trudeau to sell out the Canadians and become this kind of oligarchical elite controller that's worth $250 million?
I
And
feel,
also, is he the son of Fidel Castro? People wants to know that.
yeah, I feel he is the son of Fidel Castro in the genetics, that is the energetics. He is not Pierre Trudeau's son. Because Pierre Trudeau's wife, she went to Cuba a lot. She loved Fidel Castro. It was a son of a love triangle, basically. And I feel the vampire gene act, it's not like anybody bit him and he became a rogue vampire, you know. It's a gene that was activated, a genetic mutation. And it created a carnal desire for blood, and it created a desire to convert his two children into vampires as well. That's why the wife divorced him, is she doesn't want her kids converted into in natural beings because they don't have that vampire genetics. They don't have that mutational gene that can go off. I feel this happened to him in 2018, and he can walk in the light, he can walk during the day. It's not like the myth of the vampires cannot exist during the day. He can walk during the day. He is not going to be burnt by sunlight. He still has some human genetics. It is just a false advertisement to Canadians that he's a human when he's not all human. Just like Joe Biden was cloned for a failing clone for the 2020 operation of the election. He sold his genetics for a cloning project to test the system whether humans would believe that he's an organic failing person with mind issues. They don't know that it's a failing clone and this is a program. This is to test what humans will buy and buy into. They're not told that some of these politicians that they're electing into government are not totally human or off-worlders. So there's like a false fraud advertisement scheme for Trudeau, for Biden, you know. I feel Trump is totally human. I feel he has a higher Pleiadian connection of a walk-in. I feel Kamala Harris is human. She's planning World War III. That's why she's running for president, just like Hillary Clinton. Those women got war on their mind. They're predators, man. But people are not being told that some of these politicians are not totally human. It's like false advertising, non-biology, non-human biology. What do you sense, Amir?
Well, it seems so. Again, my understanding is very general. It seems that certain levels of cruelty and aggression are not natural. It doesn't fit in what we understand a human being to be. And so, regardless of what the physiological and physical uh, structure of the bodies are, I'm very certain that energetically, or at the level of a consciousness or a soul, many of these are not human. So the vessels are used, whether it's some sort of a modified human vessel or a pure human vessel where the initial host soul has left for a reason. Some of these happen early on in childhood, so these vessels are created for these purposes. So we're aware of all of these occurring. What I can say with certainty is that there is a big interaction between humanity, the upper echelon, the ruling classes, and non-human intelligences. And this has been going on for thousands, if not millions of years. Of course, if there is a big energetic drug trade based on extracting material of different sources, let's say physical, energetic, and so on, from humanity to fuel this illicit drug trade, of course, there are going to be human elements on the ground to manage the herd. This is very callous, but that is my understanding. That currently there are many that treat humanity as a herd, as a source of the drug. And there are many variants of the drug. Depending on who the soul is and what their energy is, maybe the harvesting becomes much more intrusive and intense. You see this as you work with different clients based on the energy of their soul. The energetic narcotic has a different quality and potency with different grades and, of course, probably different street prices. So yes, these things do occur. So that's one of the things that has to go, you see. These, I like to call all of these who are involved in this illicit trade, who are harming not just humanity, but many other species who are hooked on the narcotics. I like to call them the pirate species. They have served their purpose. They've toughened us up enough. And so we talked about how long will it take for these guys to roll out. There are large-scale negotiations going on with those pulling the strings, that the gig is up. Are you going to... You're not allowed to leave, by the way, because you're just going to set up shop somewhere else. That's not allowed. You have two choices. As the conditions of entry into the experiment were concretely set in place, so are the exit conditions. You either rejoin divine evolution or you are burned to such a degree that whatever remains can be of service to divine order once again. There's extreme prejudice in this. Now, this will explain a lot of the panic we see. As the source of their energy is being diminished, they are going into a frenzy. Before they die through lack of energy, many of them are cannibalistic, meaning they will feed on their own kind, naturally diminishing their own numbers. So, many of these basic stories that we hear are a explanation of what people see, people who interact with these people, that their energy is off. There is something very wrong with them. You step into a room, you feel it. And so this is, my understanding is, well, these are the human components of these programs governing the herd, and it's going to be removed. These are the biggest obstructions in the path of humanity, standing in the way of our evolution and liberty.
Because what I understand, vampires don't have to drink directly from people's blood. They can take in energies. Yeah, or synthetic.
You sit in their presence for 5 minutes and you feel like you're going to die. Like, oh my God, why am I exhausted? And then your immune system goes all wonky and you catch a cold or a flu. So yes, they're very much so draining your energy, maybe not through physical means, but energetically, absolutely.
Yeah, and vampires can drink synthetic blood. They don't have to drink human blood from the source, which Trudeau apparently from the source of the people, leaving people tired, not understanding what's going on. And why degrade humanity by selling out your DNA to be a failing clone? Like money, greed, power, that still corrupts politicians. Even if you have good intentions to a certain degree, you go into this program of control systems, you're violated. You are changed fundamentally. You cloned, vampired, pimped out, sold to the devil programming.
Let us just agree that this has to go.
Yes.
Enough is enough. Hey, I think we're tough enough. No more, please.
And tough enough to know this truth that we're speaking about right now. This is very graphic. This might seems like it's scaring people. It's not to scare you. It's for you to know the truth so you can choose what you want and don't want in your reality, basically.
Oh, by the way, I would like to also mention this as something positive and a ray of hope. Many of the pirates have severed their connection to the source of all things. They are cut off from divine light. And so therefore, They are restricted in their evolution. Part of the reason of sampling humanity is to try and sample the light of source to basically in futility. They can't do this. You cannot sample the infinite. What we can achieve within a single lifetime surpasses all of these species. To such a degree, with a single conscious thought, you can erase entire factions out of existence. Now, this is an alarm for these people, for these beings, that, oh hell, humans are waking up, party is over. Because again, this entire experiment is us playing dumbass with our eyes closed, our ears blocked, hands and feet tied together, and we're flapping about in the dirt like worms, not knowing who we are, and before we figure it out, the body expires and we're back in, wiped clean. Imagine we remember who we are, that we are builders of worlds, of realities. These guys have no chance. They're low level by every definition. So you evolve, not only you become immune, you can dish out some divine justice of your own.
Very true. Sometimes when you say you banish a soul, you can banish it for the cleaning program to source creation, or sometimes souls are burned and disintegrated completely because they're too exposed in the darkness, and they're not going to come back as anything of a soul. They're going
Agreed.
back as a clean frequency of going back to creation as creation energy, but not as souls that can be predators again, because that's not
Absolutely. Yes.
allowed.
Well, you know what the other brilliant part of the closing clauses of the divine experiment of guaranteed unnatural evolution is? That the energy of these souls who cannot rejoin the divine cycle of consciousness evolution will be paid to Earth. This is her payment for hosting life for so many eons. And so she will be given the energy to evolve once again. So that's her payment, plus the experience of the suffering of her children, including humanity, that has gave her incredible resilience. So she is a highly evolved being who has chosen the vessel being Earth. So she receives something out of it too. She gets something out of hosting this experiment. Without her, none of this would be possible. So she's also taken care of. We shouldn't be too worried. Her consciousness is doing quite well.
Beautiful. And Drago, you have some questions about your experiences for Amir and me. We can go over a little bit of your stuff.
Yeah, so I was thinking that since we've already been recording for 2.5 hours, I don't want to make it about me at this point, and I think we should hook the audience with 2 questions. Just 2 questions. And then next time, let's have a part 2, man, and let's arrange more tasking ideas where I can give you some things to remote view, stuff that's important that we need to talk about, man, because it's you guys are some of the most important remote viewers of the world, because you guys aren't affixed by certain rules and regulations and connected to certain people that hold you back from speaking that truth. So next time I have 1,000 questions I can ask. I've been writing these questions down about myself for, I don't know, years of what I want answered, but this isn't about me. This is about the message of us defeating everybody. And like, I would die 1,000 more times in these programs to free everybody, man. And everybody needs to believe what I mean, but I would die 1,000 more times. I've died more than you can imagine, man. And it's for everybody.
This
So
time, this time, no more dying. This time you are going to live a vibrant, beautiful, enjoyable incarnation that is the peak of all your incarnations on earth, but not the highest to come. So meaning that this hardship has served its purpose and you are way on your way to evolving. So the darkness and harshness, I speak it into existence, that it serves its purpose and that it is no more for all of us.
and I thank you because you two guys, you can see deeply into my soul. You've done readings of who I am and you know who I truly am. So you know who I am and what I represent. And like I said, I feel like I'm the caretaker of humanity, man. And like it doesn't matter what happens to me. The message is what happens, in the end.
It does matter what happens to you because you're a vital soul, you're a light worker, Amir is a light worker, you're both light warriors. You stand for truth and justice, so it does matter what happens to you and should be for a good life, a good, free, clean life of any interferences from anything and everything because you deserve a good life. So don't limit yourself with this smarter self-sacrifice programming. You deserve to be free and clean of anything that interferes with you. You are a beautiful, clean soul.
I haven't known what it's like to be free in a long time. So I see that happening. I manifest that reality, and like, I would like to sleep, and I would like to have peace, and I would like to be with the animals and the plants and just breathe them within.
Ask yourself to clean and clear what is bothering you and blocking you. Like literally, you clean yourself. You have the higher power and authority to clear that, to clear the grays that are bothering you and the timelines not allowing you to sleep. Boop, boop them out of existence. Clean and clear. Create a mantra, create a protocol for cleaning and clearing. That is your ultimate power for what you can do to be free of that.
Yeah, so right now I'm only about 20% awake every day. And it's so hard to not be a normal human being and to not know what it's like to not be manipulated and have your energy stolen from you and have parts of you in 1,000 places simultaneously. And it's a lot, man. But
Well, revoke it. You have the authority to revoke that which they're pushing onto you, but it's you who have the power to fix and heal that. You can ask for healing from others through hypnosis, through healings, but this is ultimately your power to create a protocol that cleans you inside and out and banishes and burns away all of this stuff, all of these beings. You are your own powerhouse. Create your own protocol and clear yourself. You are
can you
your key.
guys help me out with that? Maybe send me something in a DM and help me get this started because I need help, man. So I
So
openly need your
let's
help.
give you something quick. So you are a great fan of swords. So pick up your favorite sword, the physical object, and then you give it a connection to source. Through your own connection to source, you give it consciousness and life, and then you bless it and name it the sword of sovereignty. Let's do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
That beautiful object is now connected to the heart and consciousness of the beloved source of all sources. We're calling down divine light and energy, giving it the sentience and consciousness to cut through all that does not serve you, not just in the physical, but in all domains that you exist in as a conscious mind. Once you wield this mighty sword of sovereignty, it cuts down to the constituent parts that which is harming you, and it burns them away with divine fire and plasma to such a degree that what remains can be of service to the highest good of all once again. And so you will have access to this divine instrument as your protector, your friend and ally in all domains, including sleep, in all aspects, whether conscious or not, whether your conscious mind is aware of or not. This is your companion and your instrument of liberation, not only for the self, but through healing and liberating yourself, all those who are also afflicted by these conditions. And so it is.
And allow your sword of light to clean, cleanse, and purify all those gray beings that interfere with you, the reptilians. Clear them out of your consciousness system, your light system, and your physical body so that they are either sent back to Source Creator for cleansing, reprogramming, or they're permanently banished from your energy, from your thought consciousness, from all that you are as a creator being. You are set free to sleep peacefully and well without these beings interfering with anything in your life. Allow your sword consciousness and light consciousness to clear and purge what does not serve you of the highest good anymore. Believe that these beings are no longer controlling you. They have no power over you whatsoever. Not in the physical domain, not in the soul domain, not in the consciousness domain, not in the physical, not in the astral, not in any creation that you exist in. It is cleared. They are banished. They're removed and released from you. So all soul contracts, soul shards, interactions cut, cleaned, divine light and source creation of your light sword serves you, protecting you and removing these entities and blockages so that you can sleep well, live well, and be free of these incursions. They no longer are incursions and they cannot control you. Believe that and live in that light. Free will choice and divine cleansing and clearing. You are the power, you are the light, you are free and clear of these beings. And all timelines merge into positivity. So they cannot control your timelines. They cannot throw you in different timeline, dimensional, unclean realities. Merge as a positive, clean timeline without these beings controlling you. So you are one. You are the creator of your own soul to have a clean life and be clean to the highest purpose of your existence as a creator. Shine your light and be your own protector in your clean light source. So it is. So it is.
So it is, and I cut these cords and I send back.
Hey man, go have fun. Just go on a cutting party, yes? Anything that you feel in any way, physically, emotionally, consciously. Oh, this doesn't feel right. You have your sword in the energetic state. Just cut. Cut and ask later. Right? What's the expression? Shoot and ask later. In this case, cut and ask later, because it has a divine intelligence. If it's not meant to be there, it has to go.
And don't let them back in. Sometimes they want to knock, re-enter. No, you're banished, gone.
I do not give you permission to enter, just like the vampires. Can I come in? No, you cannot. Go the hell home.
Yes.
Or even better, hey, come in, and then you chop their head off.
Or I take your soul and I put it into this sword and I entrap it eternally until I free it.
Or give it or keep it there for divine righteous justice, for divine audit. Time doesn't exist. They have to face their judgment one way or another. So you can absolutely assign them to spiritual prison in that fashion. That is not a new approach. Very valid, actually. This now came from your infinite soul. You've done this before.
Mm-hmm. And you have this is your power to clean and clear. Go do your work.
Hiya.
That's what I'm good at, man. All right, let me ask these two last questions and we'll finish everything up. And I thank you guys. You're free. You guys are freaking amazing, man. You're freaking amazing. So my question one is, how many total number of years have I served in the projects having to do with time travel? This includes the total amount of 20 and 60 in backs I've served in the lifetime of Drago Reed. Not any other incarnations on Earth of me, just in the lifetime of Drago Reed.
I'm getting 2,500 years.
I'm getting, 100
at least
times.
1,000. What'd you say?
I'm 100 times used for portal timeline diversions.
That's what I feel like. I felt like I've been doing this for so long that it's all I know. And like, this is why I'm a soldier and warrior 24 hours a day and I can't turn it off. Question two, and the final one, is how many different programs have I been involved with? Now, I know I've had confirmed that I was in Monarch, Kruger, Merge, Ileana, you said I was in Space Marines, Nachtwaffen, and Murkoff. What do you guys see with all that?
It seems you've been available to many different factions. Some of them are too small to be named. Their nature is covert, and so they do not name themselves. So many of these also exist, where you have operated as a specialist. Including the ones that you mentioned, the 7. There are another 8 of a more covert and secretive nature, not involving actions related to planet Earth whatsoever. With the task of extending the system to other locations of reality, in terms of creating new markets for the product extracted from humanity. Many a time, sentient beings refuse the path of subjugation and addiction and control through energetic and physical substances. This is a precursor to invasion and theft of natural resources, the parallels of which we have seen here on Earth with alarming frequency. This is not a human design, it is a property of the pirates. The utility of this involvement is in the way of illuminating the existence and presence of these factions beyond time itself. For the moment of retribution and divine judgment, for them to be illuminated and subjected to the offer of evolution or disintegration. So the hardship of your presence and involvement has had a higher purpose in the form of your energy being available in these domains of consciousness. It can be tracked and used for illumination of different factions.
Yeah, that basically summates to them pimping me around in different programs my entire life, and that's what it's felt like, man. I'm just like a piece of meat and a piece of property, and I don't even own myself. So,
But use the power of the force. You own yourself and they can't put you in the control system. I'm getting 40 programs on Earth and off world together, total of human programs and ET programs. 40 and interconnected, but what Amir said, 2,500 years. Amir, can you elaborate a little bit more what that means to him?
The vessel has been multiplied in number, replicated for more than a single aspect to exist in a single instance of time. The energetic and physiologic structure has been cloned, adding the duration of interaction of that which is Drago in these types of activities and programs may add up to 2,500 years. The original, but also replicas or clones or copies of the original substance.
because you had mentioned this is my third body.
There
Like
is an
the physical
ability
Drago body.
to repair to a great extent, especially the soft tissue. The difficulty lies in, for some reason, in the replication of bone, which maintains the scarring and the effects of older injuries, but total repair would cover at least 3 full regenerations where the soft tissue was removed through injury to such an extent that the vessel would have ceased to live.
And I feel that you've been taken through the timeline portals to rebuild your body into the solid matter that you are now, to repair the cloning and the soft tissue scarring. And when your motorcycle accident happened, it re-triggered these injuries for what the timeline portals fixed. It re-triggered the physical pain of those injuries. It's like body movement, stretching, soft tissue, deep tissue massage, those to help stretch the muscles, strengthen the muscles. That is needed for better movement in this time frame.
Yeah,
Physical
I don't move
realignment.
flexibly like I would want to. I feel like a 300-year-old man, and my body is just solid, and I can barely movement because everything is restricted so much. So I understand what you mean 100%.
There is a purpose, a greater, let's say, elevated purpose for your presence in these programs. Again, in terms of identifying the most covert and subverted factions involved in not just the maintenance of the, let's call it the empire, but also in its expansion and infiltration into new domains that remain unaffected. This is how this system of piracy and trade expands itself and perpetuates itself, there was a need to identify the mechanism of expansion through the abuse of portal technology and through the abuse of time technology. It takes a great level of endurance and strength, not just physiological, but of the soul, to maintain its integrity and not to break and face energetic madness or psychosis. For the fractures to be repairable, this is no mundane task. And so, if you so choose, the energy that you have left behind from your soul, from your body, may be used to identify these negative and harmful elements throughout the fractal of existence, not only to identify those that are responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of this negative movement or empire, but also the mechanisms that have remained hidden with great care in the most meticulous fashion to prevent their perpetuation and spreading throughout new worlds and new domains, as to protect the sovereignty and dignity of divine life and sentient kind.
And also the Grace and the Draconians, the Draco reptilians, they targeted your dragon energy. They targeted your wizard energy because that is the strength of your power as a creator being on this earth. So revoking permissions of Draconians, the Draco reptilians, and the Greys removes their control system power over the time portaling abilities you have, which you use as your dragon energy and your wizard energy. So that is the magic, the seat of your magic power energetically. Do not give that away to beings that seek to control you, because that is the illusion of the control mechanism. Those are your seats of power. Keep that power. Do not use it to create anything that they want to control you for, as you are a free will choice. Their control system is an illusion. They can't control you if you don't allow it.
I'm really grateful in meeting you guys. And Ileana, thank you for taking on the project to remote view me behind the scenes as dictated by your higher self. And what you found helped me a lot. And it really covered a lot of stuff that I had questions about and stuff that I had memories about. And you nailed it on the head, man. So thank you for those projects you've done. And I'm always excited to see your new projects, man. Your projects are amazing. The level of you creating AI images and conveying that story for each person. No one's doing that, man. So I thank you for your effort because I see that you put in a ton of effort to do this. And maybe a lot of people don't acknowledge this at all or maybe mention it at all. But I just wanted to say you're really doing a badass job. And like what you're doing is you're doing more than most people, man. So I appreciate it. And Amir, you are my buddy from other lifetimes, and we've done this so many times, man. Thank you for thank you for meeting up again in this lifetime and helping me see certain things and to see that there's light over the darkness. And that's why you're important being on my team because like I called you the priest and like you help me see clearly and to make the decisions I need to make versus going to the dark. You know what I'm saying? So I thank you.
It's an honor to be of service, and it's an honor to be in the presence of you both, and it's an honor to be heard by our esteemed audience, those who have the endurance to follow through. Thank you. Thank you for your valuable time.
And thank you, Drago, for taking this project on, for helping with these questions. It's a tremendous gift for me of understanding this stuff because I remote view what I remote view, and then I sort of put it out there or not, depending. This I did not put out anywhere because it involves other people, and now we've shed some light on some of these answers, hopefully to give people an understanding of what's going on here. And we are getting helped, and we are living in our own sovereignty and free will choice, because that's what evolves us as humanity, not what we're told or mind controlled with.
And if anybody needs any help in finding this internal work and like getting these questions answered, how can we find both of you guys?
Mine is messages from a star traveler seeking the truth in reality at gmail.com and awakening cosmic reality show. So those are the three places to find me. What about you, Amir?
Wizardofwivenhoe.co.uk. And I got a YouTube channel, tiny one, Wizard of Wivenhoe.
It's growing,
Uh,
man. It's growing. It's growing pretty good. You're interviewing some amazing people and doing some
yeah.
amazing reading. So I see the evolution of you coming from the beginning. Like this is your year one. Even though you've done this your entire lifetime, where you're at in this role now and who we're networking with. I'm only in year two. I've only started speaking publicly a year and a half ago. So I'm in year two of this awakening of my own. So like 10 years from now, holy crap, man. We did it. We all did it.
I'm on year 10 now of doing this public speaking and connecting. And how can we find you, Drago, for your QHHT and other services?
You could find me in the solar system on planet Earth. I'm here for a limited time only. You can find me at fractaloflight.com, which is an awesome website. You guys can check it out. And you can email me at drago.read@gmail.com. That's my email. That's my name, Drago with a period read@gmail.com, and that's it. Any other further messages you guys would like to leave for humanity before we leave?
Yeah, one message coming in. Live in your own truth, speak your own truth, be your divine, humble self, be your true self, see through all the illusions, see your reality, live your life to the best of your ability, and be free. Always be free.
And Amir?
Just leaving a joyful message of hope and ascension and liberation and evolution. The hardship is going to roll out, and as a species, we're going to retake our rightful place as the pinnacle of creation and be of service to divine light everywhere, maybe teachers or healers of younger species who haven't gone through what we have. So, glory lies ahead.
We are the teachers of the universe, and this is what we're here now to learn, and this is what we're going to do in the future. So, to all those that harm us and manipulate us and control us, I break all those contracts, and I am coming for you. I did win. So
Oh,
we're gonna
yeah.
leave it at that. And everyone, until next time, it was an amazing show. Thank you, Ileana. Thank you, Amir. You guys are freaking awesome.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank you
definitely do a
both.
second
Thank you.
show, man.
Yeah.
We will do a second one for sure. And just being your beautiful creator powers and abilities, be free thinking creators, create, manifest your positive timelines, positive events. Be positive, live in your positivity in your heart and your love, and you create beautiful things that way and manifest.
Perfect. All right, guys, it was always a pleasure. And to everyone that hears this today and throughout the echoes of time and space, thank you for being here and witnessing life-changing transmissions coming from the three of us. So I thank you.
Loving heart space. Thank you, everyone. Blessings.
Till next time, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.